Gonna wait a minute and see if the frames start dropping or stop dropping before I play the recap video. Sorry, our internet is just terrible. Think we're good? Okay, recap, go. Previously, in the Age of Ashes, the heroes of Breach Hill stepped through the portal, but found only the darkness trapped inside to about a 20-foot wide passageway leading forward out into the darkness. So that you can see you stand, well, not really on stone or tile or anything else, but in what appears to be dried magma. A blast and a roar as a surge of fire erupts out of the ground directly in front of you, swelling as the flames coalesce together into the form of an enormous fiery dragon, birthed and made from these flames itself. They had to run. They had no choice. But the far side of the portal did not look much better. It is, in fact, going to let loose a massive gout of fire, awash across the party. It is going to hit everybody.
Oh, yes, I do. Go through the portal.
I'm going to take 3 strides and gone.
Get out of here. We're not dealing with this thing. Just leave. And then immediately running out.
Nod.
And in every direction, all around you, the sounds and sights of this massive, wongy jungle. There's about 50 elves, bows drawn, all aimed at you. Realizing we were not enemies, I invited them to come back to our town of Akrivel.
In Mwangi, we came here with Renali. We are not friends of the Cinderclaws. We're here to help.
One of the elves, set apart from the others a little bit by some jewelry, and in common, I am Renavo of the Leopard clan. My mother is of the River clan. You are in the Ekujae lands, some distance east of the Lurgeni coast. Make sure no dangers find us, and take them to Akrivel.
Akrivel?
Spins himself around and falls dead before Dal'ren and Buford. Leaving you one action. Hide in the shrubbery.
Gonna intimidate this one.
You sure can.
Boy, did you see that?
That's holy fire, boy.
You saw me delete him. You saw me delete him. I have another one for you. That's a natural 20 for a 24.
Just raises his hand.
Fire still glowing in your eyes.
Yeah, he's terrified. He's frightened too. One of Fernie seems to rethink his, attack process here. Dal'ren.
So these last remaining true.
So, we have found ourselves fairly deep in uncharted territory here. Very deep in the Mwangi jungles, but fortunately not without friends, as the Ekujae elves here, with Renavo, their champion, and his daughter Nikita seem to be more than hospitable. And after a dance-off to introduce ourselves, ingratiate ourselves upon the locals, take these sessionary rolls.
You mean the one where I horribly, horribly embarrassed their dance man?
Thank you.
And you somehow, inexplicably...
It was the limericks. It just got to him.
It just got to him.
He got into his head. He couldn't handle the drinking songs. It blew his mind.
Dude, I just learned
The
them.
culture shock was too heavy. Definitely threw him off of his game.
Praise
Clearly.
be Caden Kalian.
Visibly.
I like this Caden
Caden Killian, more like Caden Carrion, that dance contest.
Oh, hanging out with me too much. You lose.
You think this is new?
Yeah.
No. This is...
This is old and busted.
There is nothing new here. I've had the same garbage puns for generations. I was born into this.
I see that.
You merely adopted the puns. I
So-
was born in it.
Raised in it.
We had left
Molded
off
by the puns.
very shortly after the dance, the Daidaka, that we have been challenged to, and after Resme had, again, just somehow absolutely destroyed that man's entire life. He'll be thinking back to this moment till his dying days. He's an elf, so what, 7 centuries from now?
I'll be long dead.
He drinks himself into a stupor.
Starts
And-
singing the songs to himself.
We'd also briefly seen Toothless make an appearance, a lion hanging out high up in the branches of the trees, which immediately was drawn into question because that's not where lions live. But
That's where
asking Nikita about it, she seemed to be fully aware that's not where lions live, and there seems to be more to that story, really. She thought it was hilarious. But the hunting party was going to be leaving soon, led by Gelinor, who Esvus had briefly went over to hang out with as largely a distraction from being anywhere near anything that could be construed as a dancing contest. Didn't seem to go too well initially. But as their weapons and their kit and their gear seem to be ready now, Nikita's indicated they're getting ready to leave, and the party has seemed pretty adamant that you want to help out with this feast that's being held very explicitly in your honor, even though she has, again, maintained that's not necessary. So, if you are so determined to help out with your own feast, Gelinor will be leaving with the hunting party soon. If you wish to follow along, I'm sure he would be more than happy to take you.
Oh, excellent. I think it would probably do us some good. Get around, see the surroundings, learn a bit more about this place.
I'm not particularly into hunting. I don't really like the thought of killing animals very much. Would it be okay if I stayed behind and maybe had introduced myself to Toothless?
And she would just kind of look over to the lion still just lazing in the branches, tail slowly kind of flicking back and forth. I would advise caution with that, but of course, none of you are expected to follow anyway. This is being held for you, not at your expense. Besides, I understand. I do not feel terribly differently. Truth be told, the Ekujae very rarely consume any meat beyond fish from the nearby rivers. But fish is no worthy meal for a feast for guests.
Dal'ren, will you bring me back any interesting plants or herbs you find? I am very interested in the flora around here.
Well, it's been some decades since I've been through a jungle, but I'll see what I can remember.
I would take caution. There's lots you can find down there at the jungle floor. Much variety. Some far more harmful than others can be helpful.
I will be careful.
And some different to distinguish which category.
Well, perhaps it might be best if I just carefully and not touch things. But I'll bring
You
them
can
back.
ask Eleanor if you are ever in doubt. I am sure he can point out things of interest.
Oh, excellent.
There are some that are used in different types of bait or tracking that you may even be taking advantage of on the hunt. But it looks like they are leaving. If you wish to follow, you should go now. Make yourselves known.
Ah, very good. Well, shall we?
I suppose.
Buddy, are you gonna go with them or do you want to stay with me?
I'll stay here, make sure everything's all right. Now, Esvus, you shoot those arrows straight and bring everybody home, right?
Yep.
Sound like a plan.
As if there was any doubt.
They will have the best of the leopard clans hunters with them. There will be no dangers.
So what is there all to do around here in the meantime? What do you, besides dancing, what did you
Well-
call it?
Daikada. And I can imagine after your journeys, and as my father told me, some Cinderclaws worryingly close to Akrivel, I would not be surprised if the rest was more in order. You are more than welcome to retire to our place. It is here on this platform. It is not far, up above. But if not, you are free to wander as you please. Introduce yourselves, see the sights, meet the people.
Suppose we should go introduce ourselves to our hunting party. Otherwise, it might be awkward if we tagged along without it.
And So, with a quick wave, Dal'ren and Esvus make their way over towards Gelinor once more. To follow along, maybe being able to make a better impression with some actual hunting than with trying to talk to the man, as he didn't seem terribly interested before. But aside from that, you could seek out... Oh, I am so bad with all the names. I know Valia, but she has titles. You are not the first to come through the Ekujae lands in the past few days, surprisingly. There has been, well, much more traffic than usual. We rarely see outsiders. Oh, as a matter, and she points over towards one of the bridges leading out to one of the farther platforms. And with no check necessary whatsoever, any of you can immediately recognize who she is talking about, because amongst all of the much darker skinned and generally much taller Ekujae elves, there is a woman who is almost an entire foot shorter than most of those she's walking through. Much fairer skinned, with almost white, silver hair parted to either side of her head, cropped relatively short. Wearing a shining but fairly light, thin metal breastplate, rapier at her hip, coming across the bridge towards this main platform with a group of you. And as Nikita points her out, that is her now. She arrived with a... I apologize now in advance if I am forgetting any of your names while you are here. I promise no malice is meant by it. But
she appears to be a captain of sorts.
She... I will let her tell you herself. Well, you are more than welcome to stop by our home at any time, rest as you need. But for now, I will be heading to help with the feast. I must meet my father and make sure things are in order. I will answer all of your questions afterward. Any you have about the jungles, the Cinderclaws, anything. But Acriville is yours, and I hope you enjoy your stay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And she does that quick palms up, palms down gesture before she turns and heads out. And this woman's coming towards the platform. As easy as it is to see her, it's equally easy to see the three of you.
I don't know about that.
2.5 of you. Standing here on this platform, regardless of the crowd around you. And as she notices you standing there, she looks and quickens her step a bit, but she doesn't wave or seem to greet you or anything from the distance, and she is some decent ways away.
Well, I suppose let's go greet our new company.
So, you head to meet her.
We should all say our name is Buddy.
Passing through the middle of the platform and ending about most of the way over towards the bridge's connection before you would catch up to her. And as she gets closer, as the group of you approach, she makes eye contact, looking across the three of you. Again, still no wave, no smile or anything. You can see that the dress underneath her breastplate is of quite fine make and of decent fashion. It's certainly not a cheap outfit by any stretch of the imagination. On the one side sits her rapier, but on the other side of her belt is a small book, fastened in a little holder on the outside for quick, easy access. It seems she would be able to draw it at any time. But it doesn't look big enough or thick enough to be a spell book or anything, unless it was one. I guess none of you really... You have a spell book, don't you? Does the clerics have spell books in second? No, you just memorize your stuff. None of you, I guess, would have a spell book, but...
Ours
you
are just prayers from the
Yeah, you would have lived in
Bible.
Breacho long enough to at least know. I mean, if not Vaz, the proprietor of Wizard's Grace, I mean, you would generally be familiar with the concept of a spell book, and this looks a lot smaller than that. So it could be a simpler or smaller one, but it looks of much different make. Equally finely leather bound, with what bits of the cover you can see sticking out, appearing to have gold and silver filigree along their edge. But she approaches, folds her hands in front of you, in front of her, stopping short before you, and just bowing deep before you, righting herself up.
I'll return the gesture.
Can I get a society check to figure out what culture she might be from and what station
Yeah,
she
go ahead.
might be in that culture, so I can have some clue as to how to relate to her?
I guess I'll try as well.
I'm just gonna tip my hat, say.
I see a 20 on
Yeah,
that die.
that's a
Nice.
29.
I have a 19, so,
So-
that's going to be a 28.
We have some cultured folk here, unfortunately.
That's a critical 29.
Yeah,
so-
which culture specifically isn't exactly clear. She looks tall, thin, or chellish, largely ethnically, but her stature, her poise, the deep bow, it could belong to any one of a wide variety of different nationalities. But she does seem to be holding herself to a fairly decent standard. She makes no errant movements. She stands perfectly upright, very still, hands folded in front of her, as she looks across the group of you, turning her head, making sure to indicate who she has her attention to, not just her eyes. Everything about it is very calculated, very precise.
I'll curtsy. And hold and say that it's very nice to meet you. My name is Resme Galadhamen.
And then she would nod briefly. Lady Valia Argans Azimov. I apologize. I do not wish to cast any doubts or deny you of any rightfully earned titles. Is it Lady Gladherman?
Lady is fine. We do not have titles specifically. Miss would be fine as well.
And she stops for a second and excuse me for one moment, please, and pulls the small book out from her hip and quickly opens and flips a few pages and looks down,
I'm not married
folds
yet.
it and puts it back,
So technically I could not have a title.
and then turns to Dal'ren.
Oh, I'm there.
Or, sorry, not Dal'ren, Buddy.
Okay.
Howdy, man. My name is Buddy. What brings you around these parts?
I'm sorry, Sir Buddy. But if you would, your friend here has not introduced himself.
I'm Rurash Bloom. No title per se, just a devout halfling.
And she nods again. You'll forgive any offense, Sir Ashbloom. It's been quite some time since I've had the pleasure of interacting with any Sarenites. They are regrettably few and far between in Taldor these days, since the Inquisition. So, if I make any transgressions, know that they are not intended.
Oh, no
I
harm
will
is-
be certain to make some time to study up on the proper customs.
Well, thank you.
Now, Sir Buddy, as it was, I have traveled far here from the ports of Casimir, following on the heels of Thaddeus Stoutmore and his chartered ship. I have come down to these jungles, and fortunately the Twin Leopards have hosted me well and provided graciously to assist me in their lands. With their permissions and their courtesy, I seek information on Ayudara, ancient circles. I hear there is one here that the Ekujae refer to as Hunter's Gate, part of a latent older network.
You talk awful fast, ma'am. I don't know if you do better talking to Resme over here. She's really good with the society stuff.
And she nods again. Forgive me, Sir Buddy. I do not mean to cause any distress or difficulty here. If you'll excuse me one moment. And she pulls the book out again and sort of thumbing through it a little deeper this time, going further into the back of it. And she holds it up in front of herself, looking through, give like no attention to the rest of you while she's looking at it. Absolutely no acknowledgement whatsoever. Like she has excused herself and detached completely from the conversation to flip through this tiny handbook.
Can I go like this? Oh, can I go like this and kind of figure out what's in it? Just even a hint of what's in it.
Peek over the thing.
How to talk to people from Breach Hill.
How to address peasants.
She's kind of cracking me up at this point.
So are you trying to hide this at all, or are you just trying to literally peer up and see what is in this book?
Actually, she'll try to disguise it as trying to look up into the foliage to see if she can see any birds or anything like that.
There's some nice birds up there.
I've been in enough drawing rooms. I know how to pretend when I'm not interested in something when I'm really interested in it.
Make me a deception check.
Birds are just so colorful.
The fog is getting thicker. That's going to be a 27.
Yeah, the 27, she doesn't seem to notice. Again, she pays you very little heed as she's looking through this book of hers. It appears to be a literal manual of etiquette
Oh my god,
that
that's
she is
adorable.
referring to, kind of unsure how to respond to this situation. And flipping through, while she looks very composed, kind of quickly trying to figure out how to respond to this without offense.
If it would make it easier on you, know that our friend Buddy here is a farmer who is extremely wonderful and knowledgeable in his own right and a brave warrior, but unfortunately does not have the benefit of our court education, and so you needn't worry about offending him.
Bless his
You
heart.
won't.
Well, Miss Cloud-Herman, that does help me quite profoundly. Thank you. And she reverses, goes backwards a few pages, and then
I wouldn't.
down through something
Peasant.
quickly. Farmer. Before closing the book and putting it back. Again, I apologize for your time, but thank you for your candor. Sir Buddy, suffice it to say that these Ayudar are magical artifacts of a very powerful nature, and ones that I believe may contain some interest, not simply to myself or to Lord Stoutmore in his journeys, but
So, with what she's saying, I want to suss her out. Because she's talking about a very important magical thing that we just found. And she
she's
might-
just pretty directly talking about Alcetta's ring, yes.
So, I want to see if she's telling the truth about her intentions, if she's actually looking for this individual.
Okay, so that's perception.
$19.
With a 19, she seems like honestly impossible to read because there is.
She's a book.
Yet she is. She chooses her words incredibly carefully, even sometimes pausing to make sure that she is making no mistake. Not just for the etiquette and the presentation, but also for what information she is divulging in the first place. She's almost completely detached from what she says. So
Pretty much everything she's saying is coming from that book.
it's almost impossible to read her at all. But you don't see any overt tells that she's attempting to deceive you. It doesn't seem like any kind of a lie at all. Like everything she has said so far seems to be on the level.
It's more like when you're a courtier and you're working for somebody high up, you learn to keep a blank countenance and no body language so that you neither offend nor compliment anyone you shouldn't be.
Exactly. Because with you, society, accidentally complimenting peasants may be just as bad as
Exactly.
accidentally offending nobles. There's a hierarchy here, and it exists for a reason.
If the Ayudara are what you are specifically interested in, I am a lore master of Alcetta, and the Ayudara have been my specific study for some time.
Miss Gladherman, I did notice but did not want to pry your necklace there,
Very polite of you.
which is quite beautiful and also appears to be a holy symbol of the elven goddess Alcetta herself.
It is. It's generations old. It belonged to my great-grandmother 4 generations removed.
Admittedly, my knowledge of the goddess, her teachings, and her demands is very modest at best, and I'm sure yours far outstrips mine. But what little I know does seem to provide some context as to why this artifact, this ancient Ayudara, has been dedicated in her name. Do I overreach to assume that the group of you have come down to these jungles, to the depths of the Mongi, for a similar reason? I find it's, well, probable that a worshipper of Alcetta and her guards, as well as another cleric, of a very well-aligned faith as well, but certainly a separate and detached goddess, almost of a different pantheon, would have come here for much other reasons, especially into this humble village of Akravel, so close to Hunter's Gate itself.
Well, have you heard of the Cinderclaws?
I have heard of them from the Ekujae themselves, but no further.
That's a large portion as to why we're here. It's a fairly ill-reputed and quite devious cult that we're attempting to deal with.
I had heard from the twin leopards that the Cinderclaws had cast some kind of an enchantment over the area, and they'd been growing in influence, and that their powers, both physical and magical, have started to become much of a problem for the Ekujae living here, and they worry that this will soon threaten Aquaville itself. They petitioned me for my assistance, as they did Lord Stoutmore's. I agreed to assist to investigate as I could on his behalf as well, so that he could tend to his archaeological studies that he traveled so far for. But, unfortunately, alone, I don't have much capability to navigate these jungles. They are far different from the hills of Taldor that I am much more accustomed to. Much more dense, much warmer. I don't know much of the landscape, much any further than I've studied, and what I've learned from the libraries of Apara doesn't seem to translate terribly well to the actual landscape itself.
Well, as a scholar of sorts and a studier of humanity in your own right, perhaps we could do each other a service here. Would you like to keep company with us, and perhaps we can assist each other in our mutual endeavors?
It's a very kind and gracious request, Miss Galadriman, and I will accept indeed. Truth be told, I had sought you out as soon as I had heard that you had arrived and that this feast was being arranged in your honor. The hopes of the Ekujae seem to be high, riding on you. I hear you have arrived to the Ayudara itself. You have some experience with the Hunter's Gate.
We have discovered the method of its working and something of the magic behind it. It is very ancient. It was created by the first elves before they had a better understanding of how these gates worked. It's actually one of a kind. Nothing else like it exists.
It's a truly impressive art of both work and magic, to be certain, for something to stand so many centuries or even millennia and still be largely functional. So, am I to take it that you, Miss Galadriman, Sir Buddy, and Sir Ashbloom, you are Isgari, then?
Yes.
Again, forgive me, as I had no expectation the portal would be active, and I am familiar with Shelish customs to some extent, but how Isgari may differ from that in their etiquette and their rapport, I will do further studying on, to be certain.
We'll try to be good specimens so that you have a good sample with which to further your education.
Please, Miss Galadriman, you need not subjugate yourself to my experimentation. I'll study on your behalf.
Well then, perhaps...
It is worth mentioning the gate's not exactly fully safe.
Yes, well, you know, a representation of the god Dahak here, a representation of the god Dahak there. These problems, they do occur. One shouldn't fuss over them unnecessarily. I'm sure it'll right itself in the course of time.
Well, truth be told, Miss Galadriman, I had no intention of using the gateways myself. The information I seek is largely for records, scholarly at best, to fill in some of the missing pages of the great encyclopedias of Taldor. Much akin to how scouts of the Pathfinder Society journey far and wide to fill the books of their chronicles, I seek knowledge, as does Lord Stoutmore, who should already have made his way much deeper into the jungle by now.
And is he, I suppose you'd call it, a study of ancient artifacts, an archaeologist of some sort?
Lord Thaddeus Stoutmore is an archaeologist of some renown among Taldan circles, yes. I don't know that it would do for me to speak plainly of his repute or his pedigree. I'll leave that to him himself should we meet or should he return to Aquaville later. But if fortune smiles upon us, and possibly on him as it has myself, perhaps we'll meet him in the coming days.
That would be most welcome. Forgive me, there is, a lioness living in this jungle, and it seems to have taken notice of us, and I wanted to investigate it because lions don't usually live in jungles, and this one seems to be odd, and I'm afraid my curiosity has been piqued.
It is certainly a strange habitat for them, that much is certain. Lions, to my understanding, are much more at home in the rolling plains of Taldor itself. I know the Taldan military has used them for years, but the jungles seem to be a far cry from that. But please, excuse me, Miss Glatterman, Sir Buddy, and Sir Ashbloom. I need to take no more of your time.
Feel free to accompany us or do as you wish. Lions exist in the jungle as well as the ballroom, so I'm sure you've met your fair share.
I have much to tend to. I imagine the Ekujae, after this feast held in your honor this evening, will likely make a request of you, possibly, to journey into the jungle on their behalf as they did me. I only humbly request that when you do prepare yourselves for this foray into the unknown, that you find me and allow me to accompany you.
Of course. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure to meet you, and she'll curtsy again.
You as well. And she'll bow deeply, look up to Buford, and lower her head again, and do the same to her, before standing up straight and simply turning and walking away, back the way she came.
Oh, thank God my mother prepared me the way she did, or I would have never survived that in one piece.
Yeah, I mean, no offense, but listening to that woman was a little bit like listening to a woodpecker. I mean, it had a certain rhythm to it, but it kind of lulled together after a while.
And now you know why I fell asleep at my lessons.
Eh?
Dealing with all sorts in a clergy gives you plenty of experience, so I've had a handful of people like that.
Although I kind of did like her.
She seemed like a real good sword. I mean, man, the mouth on that woman just went on forever.
I've heard many such things said. But for now, shall we go beard the lion in its den, so to speak?
Yeah, sure, let's go see what this line's all about.
So the three of you head back towards Toothless to kind of see what you can make of the lion in the trees.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help it.
While you were talking to, even really before you had reached Valia, Esvus and Dal'ren would have made their way over to Galenor to meet up with him and the hunting party and introduce yourselves. And as you approach, it's a fairly small group of about a half dozen hunters. Longbows strung across their backs and shoulders with quivers on their back as well, with equally long, almost woven braided arrows loaded up inside. And as you all approach, of course, they notice you. Galenor kind of looks over towards Esvus and looks quickly over to Dal'ren as well. And just kind of sighs. And then turns back to the group.
Is just giving us the cold shoulder.
It turns away from you and is conversing quickly in Wangi. And as you come up to the group, he does not immediately turn around to address you, no.
I'll wait patiently. I'm long-lived.
You have time?
The elves, we got time.
So do they.
But they have a deadline.
That's a joke.
They got stuff they gotta do. So as he turns around...
When he turns around, I'm not going to make him make the first word. I'm going to slip into Elven with the hope that he's at least had some sort of knowledge of the language of his own people. But I'll do the Mwangi open-handed greeting gesture.
Nods.
Pleased to meet you. It was suggested that though you go on a hunt for our behalf, we could accompany you, perhaps aid and learn more about the surrounding jungles if you would have us along.
When was I?
Oh, and a look of absolute pity comes over his face. I hadn't thought he was so far removed.
And is that still an elven?
Yeah.
Some of the other elves kind of look at him. And look at you, and look back at him. And he just sighs. Looks at Esvus. You too, then? In common.
I'm helping. Whether you see me or not is another matter.
Such brazen faith in your abilities. We will see. You are welcome to join us. Come.
Of course, thank you. I'll slip back into common. After all, we should be speaking a language we all understand.
And in Elven replies, "It seems you have your choice of them."
Well, it seems you are more educated than I thought, and then it first appeared. Well met. I'm glad to see that the mother tongue hasn't entirely been lost here.
And you speak Elven.
Yes.
Esvus? Yeah, you speak Elven. So he'll stay in Elven here because he understands. He speaks Common, but most of the other hunters don't. So he'll stay in Elven. Galanor of the Hawk clan, the mothers of the River clan. So we are leaving to hunt for the feast tonight. If you want any say in what you eat, you can come along.
I would trust your judgment. We seek to aid if possible and to learn the surrounding land.
And you?
I'm making sure he comes back safe. And I'm actually like kind of grimaces at having to go through a formal introduction. And I'm Esvus. No clan. Just a hunter for the Grey Maiden, for the Grey Mother.
I know no grandmother, but whoever you hunt for, as long as your aim is true and your step quiet, you can follow. We are ready to leave, are you?
Always.
All set.
Come then. What do you know of the game here in the jungle?
I got jungle lore. I
got
woke up with it
jungle
this
lore.
morning.
Ancestral memories cheat. All right, go for it.
I saw you before you got up this morning.
That's gonna be 21.
You would know there's a pretty wide variety of stuff you could go after, really. I mean, the jungle, it's a jungle. It's ripe with things that you can hunt. As far as things that are solid food sources, there's everything from like smaller river turtles and bats all the way up to there are jungle hogs, river hogs, as well as things called water bucks, which are almost just larger, angrier hippos, if you can imagine that. The hippo is already very large and very angry.
Right.
I mean, crocodiles are a thing that have plenty of meat that you can eat, though they're somewhat dangerous. You know, like there's a pretty wide variety of stuff that you could hunt through the jungle.
So Dal'ren will just mention not really so much of like let's go slay some massive beast or something, but he'll. I've heard that there's definitely the jungle hogs make for excellent feast material, and also the rainbow pheasant I've heard is spectacular when cooked properly. But there's a number of others. Any around there?
You know more than I expected. It will depend on what we can find, what we can track down. Only a few hours before sundown, so we will have to work quickly.
Then we should talk on the move then.
If you are not too tired.
We've had harder days.
Then let us begin.
Monocle comes off.
And he
Die, pheasant!
he motions to the rest of the hunters and just hops over the simple wooden rail that they have around the edge of the platform. Just hops over it down into the branches below. Largely doing the same thing Renavo had done in reverse, just sort of making his way down the tree here. So,
Believe.
you
Face
got
plant for 30 damage.
you've got a chance to redeem yourself,
Or
Just
die.
gotta believe.
but you are at the top of the tree this time.
I am.
So falling is bad.
Falling bad.
Can I just happen to be standing within 30 feet of him when he does that?
You are on the other side of the platform. At this point, you're speaking with Valia already.
Would you like to follow the expert? I'm an expert in acrobatics.
Oh, you're an expert in acrobatics. I'm not quite an expert in acrobatics. I've got a plus 12 though. I just.
Well, I mean, if all the expert just straight up gives you a +2 to copy what he does because he's
Yeah,
an
but
expert.
nothing saves you from a hard one.
It's true.
Well, nothing saves. Well, hero points save you from a hard
Hard
one.
one, yeah.
But,
All right, I'll follow the expert. I'm not going to risk.
so Fastfist is going to lead here.
Well, you do still have to roll.
You do, but Esvus, you would have to go first, because so you would hop down first, following in Gelinor's path here.
With a session reroll.
Follow the expert.
Darn.
Huh, I've done that before.
I know how to do that.
Okay, that's a 30.
With the 30, though it is... I don't know if Esvus got any particular fear of heights, having lived the vast majority of his life on the ground. You're starting about 80 feet up. So it's definitely intimidating, but it's not terribly difficult to navigate down this. As much as the branches seem to have almost organically woven themselves together or been led into making these massive sprawling platforms they built on top of, the branches heading down the trunks of these main supports are also set in a way that's almost a path. It's a far cry from, stairs or something that humans would use, but it's not nearly as difficult as it would initially appear. You're not going down just random branches hoping for some sort of success. But 30 easily, is it 30?
30, yeah.
30 will pretty easily critically succeed on that.
So Esvus isn't necessarily afraid of heights, but it's just a matter of like that unfamiliar terrain and just only looking at the next spot, nothing else around, nothing up or anything, just always the next spot.
And you would notice as you're going that both Gelinor and the rest of the hunters all are following the same path. They're not like plinkoing down through the branches. Like there's a route to this that makes it easy, and they're all largely going the same way. All right, so you get a +2 for following the expert here.
I'll take it. I'll take
Moment
it.
of truth.
Here it is. All right, that's 29.
And with the 29, you would also critically succeed down. Your moment of truth, succeeding. The man that seems like he may need a little bit more impressing. You're not slipping off the moss. Just falling on your face immediately. Doing a bit better. So as you reach the jungle floor, and the group of you start to make your way out into the trackless jungle, heading out northwest. So you'd come almost straight north from the gate to Akravel, and now you're heading up even further away from it into the jungle. The elves are making no particular effort to hide yet. Mm-hmm. They are just walking, just getting different distance, just making their way through the jungles. Talking amongst themselves in Wangi. Gelinor notably not really saying anything, just kind of going. A couple of the others seem not super talkative either.
Okay. While we're going, do I see any interesting plants that kind of pique my interest that I might be able to go and grab for Resume?
Well, with the amount of jungle that there is here near around Akravel, there would actually be a wide variety of somewhat cultured and developed flowers, flowering plants growing up through things. As some effort has been put in to make the immediate area around Akravel very appealing.
I won't rob
it doesn't look like it's well done. It melds with the environment, and I mean, if you didn't have like jungle lore or something, it might not even be noticeable as anything other than just wildflowers that have been transplanted and just let to do whatever they wanted to do. It mostly is, honestly. It's a far cry again from flower beds and manual gardens, but it looks impressive all the same. Okay. So you'd have to wait till you got some amount of distance if you weren't wanting to just take up whatever they had clearly at some point set here.
Yeah. That feels rude.
Are you enjoying yourself here?
It's a different place to go and travel through.
I'm not sure what I feel about this place yet. I'm certainly not happy that they ended up dragging Buford to go and do some kind of dance party.
Something tells me that Buford was more than happy to tag along to it.
Oh, I'm sure.
But this place, it's quite different, but travel enough, and they all have their helpfulness. Besides, you seem to have adapted quite well, considering our skirmish with the Cinderclaws.
Forest is a forest is a forest. It's just the trees are different and the brush is thicker here. So I'm better at my job.
I think you'll show these... I think you'll show our hosts some of your skill.
I'm not here to impress them. I'm here to get you home.
Well, impressing them is helpful, too. It'll make our job easier in the future.
Do you really think that this is something... Do you think they really want our help here? With Dahak?
I think they're in trouble. They are being pressed, and I think they are a useful source of information, given our fact that our enemies live here too. In all honesty, the veil of secrecy that has guarded these Ayudara seems to be fraying as of late, what with this assassin group and Isker and the cult. It's going to be something that we're going to need to get a handle on, and honestly, I feel that we're a bit over our heads in it. I'm willing to take all the help we can get.
I'm not privy. Well, let me rephrase. I don't make friends really well, Dal'ren, so I'm gonna have to trust in you to help me here, please.
Well, my ways tend to be a bit off-putting to many. Resme is definitely a bit of better of a talker, but I can bully my way through a situation here or there.
You seem to have enchanted Resme very well. I don't understand why.
I'm not entirely sure why myself, in all honesty, but she seems to have taken a liking to me, and I'm not really enough of a silver tongue to convince her that it's a bad idea. So I suppose my only thing I have left to me is to try to make the best of it and do right by it.
I will never understand you.
I tend to ramble, I'm sorry.
Do you have a bow? And they hear Galanor just calling back over his shoulder towards you.
I prefer something I can heft a bit better, and he'll pull a javelin.
He kind of looks at it. Something that big has difficulty penetrating the underbrush.
Not when I throw it.
You will see. And with that, he does not have any.
You're gonna call
Tell me,
Zeus-
Esvus, have you noticed that if you shoot arrows through underbrush, it works better?
I think that they haven't had an opportunity to experience a walking lightning rod yet.
Hopefully I don't overcook our dinner.
So as you begin the journey out away from Akerveld to find somewhere to, we'll pick up some trail or track after something. Back in the town, the three of you are approaching Toothless because, well, it's there and it's a lion.
It's a cat, let's poke it.
Which, yeah, I mean, walking up and poking it seems like I can't think of a better idea, really. It obviously is an animal of some significance to the Ekujae around. I mean, you can clearly tell they treat it with some degree of reverence. It's more than you would just treat a pet or something. And it's possibly just a cultural difference that maybe this is how Ekujae would just treat a pet. But they're very careful and around her, and they seem very pleased by her presence. Many of them gathering vaguely in the area, but in no large groups and nowhere too close. So as you approach, what are you guys doing?
Looking.
You're looking. There's a lion. Are you raising your shield?
I've got my shield like kind of here, and I'm Resme's just walking, and I'm just a bit kind of like. At any moment, I could grab her collar and put a shield in front.
So you got your shield up. It's not like an action peering over, but this is ready. It's raised. You're just looking at the lion.
I'm not. I'm going to meet her eyes, and I'm going to blink once very slowly. Which is actually how cats say, I'm not here to threaten you. I have respect for you. I'm not going to approach you.
So, as you get closer, it's clear the lioness is looking at you. I mean, she's laying on the branch, but she's not relaxed. She's just down. And she's following you very intently, that tail still slowly kind of flicking back and forth. But at first looks lazily. You realize it's kind of more tensely. You got cats.
Yeah.
You know what this do. You know what the tail means. It looks bored. It's not bored. So make me a nature check.
Sure.
To do that as you move closer, and if you want to aid, you can. If she is
It's gonna be a 26.
I guess she actually does not have a say in whether or not she accepts this because you're also walking forward. So if you want to roll nature to aid.
I was more curious about rolling a nature for this lion in particular.
What do you mean?
It's a chubby lion in a tree. That's not where lions normally are. Like, there's something
We
weird.
have covered that, yes. So it's
There's
not
something
normal.
weird about the lion. Now that I'm closer, do I see anything particular?
Yeah, well, so you want like a knowledge check.
Yeah.
So what's your nature modifier?
11.
So looking up at her, where did I put all those? Oh, they're under here. Looking up at her, you can definitely tell that it's weird, it's wrong, and even perched as she is, she still looks a little out of her element, but you can't see any indication as to why. You don't see anything that looks different about her. It looks, as far as you can tell, to be a fully normal lion. It doesn't look like it's any kind of separate subspecies, or it's a lion that would just do lion stuff, except it's not doing lion stuff, it's doing leopard stuff. Which is, and you've absolutely no idea why. So 27, as you get closer, the lion's looking at you. You do that slow blink. He kind of eases down a bit and goes from more perched down to actually just laying down. And all but closes her eyes there, now actually bored and considering just going to sleep. The Ekujae around obviously have noticed if you are the most obvious three people that exist, especially shiny full plate man with his shield and his cowboy hat on walking through the middle of them. You could not conceivably hide. It's very obvious that you are walking towards Toothless as this happens. And as you get closer and she gets more relaxed, there are some confused and impressed reactions across the Ekujae. Now, she's not far up in the branches, really. She's probably about maybe 10, 12 feet out from the edge of the platform in a pretty big network that wouldn't really even take like an acrobatics check or anything to navigate. Like where like as you're approaching here, but where are you going? Like, what is your goal here? What are you doing?
I want to get close enough in a non-threatening way so that she can smell me. And
I want to touch it.
I definitely am not going to touch her unless she makes the first move, but to cats, smell is very important. So if she can smell me, smell that I'm not afraid, there's no adrenaline, I'm not a threat, I'm just interested in her, maybe she'll calm down a little further.
I'm just along for the ride. I'm just watching.
So in order for you to get close enough to let her smell you or do anything there, you are going to have to go out into the branches a little ways. So when you get close to the edge here, or up to the edge, Resme climbs up on the railing to continue going forward. What are you two doing?
I'm gonna walk over to the edge, prop up on it, and I'm just gonna watch this fall.
The railing's probably like at neck level for you.
I'm gonna put my chin on it, and I'm gonna watch this unfold.
I am going to get out a rope, tie it around Resme's waist, and stand there and shoot and hold the other end of the rope.
She is going, so like you're gonna stop her because are you waiting for Buddy to tie a rope around you?
Buddy, I'll be fine.
Are you sure about that?
A couple seconds later,
I mean,
Buddy, I've been in lots of jungles before. I've climbed some trees in my time. I know I come off as a lady more at home in the drawing room than the jungle, but actually, this is just as comfortable to me as anything.
well, you know, I mean, a heifer is sometimes dangerous when you even when you encroach on their territory. I'm just, this is not a heifer, this is a lion.
Identifying animals with you. Like a freaking speaking spell.
that's not a heifer.
Wow, Beeford, you sure do know your baby animal sounds.
The lion says, don't.
Buford, don't have a cow. It'll be fine.
Well, if you're sure about that, I mean, I'll stand over here. I don't want to,
2 mental damage.
I take 2 points of psychic damage.
So Resme continues out onto the branches, trying to get closer here, trying to approach Toothless. Get close enough to touch it so that she can sniff at you. And when you start climbing up towards her, she tenses up again. She picks her head up, backs a bit onto her haunches, staring directly at you. But real low now. She almost gets flat up on the branch.
When she does that, I will assume a very deferential position. I'll actually hunch a little bit and keep my head a little bit below her so that she knows I'm actually deferring to her in her space, and I'm going to do exactly what she wants me to do and get no closer than she feels comfortable with.
Okay. So make me another nature check. And as you're going up there, she's rolling that. Buford and Ruhr can pretty clearly see the impressed look on the Ekujae turn to, like, what?
Oh, nat 20. Because this is what I do.
I'm gonna pet the kitty. Nat 20.
30.
A 30 on a natural 20. So as you move up,
Critical failure.
the Ekujae, it almost gets, like, totally silent around the two of you there on the platform. And as you move forward, very slowly, very cautiously, Toothless doesn't move. The lion sits there, still looking at you, but doesn't make any sort of aggressive movement or anything. Doesn't really do anything different. And by the blessing of dragons and things raiding us, empowering your natural 20 here, clearly related. Thank you, guys. She doesn't move. You get closer, hand out, palm down, and she slowly kind of inches forward and sniffs at your hand. And then she licks it.
Wet sandpaper.
It's very sandpaper. It's a lion's tongue. This is actually just a sheet of sandpaper across the back of your hand. And then lowers her head down a little bit towards your fingers. And you can hear an audible gasp throughout the group of the Ekujae looking like, did she just pet the lion? And a kid, not too far from Buford and Ruhr as they're looking, pulls on her mom's dress and looks, Oka! Oka! Like, just in excitement. And Toothless lays back down again, totally calm, almost motionless. Her tail now just flopped flat, chilling.
I'm actually just gonna hang with her for a bit.
And you can pet her.
Yeah, I'll pet her.
You can pet the top of her head. You can scratch her
Sure.
giant lion
Yep.
ears. She is perfectly happy. You have been given the A-OK from Toothless, and clearly from the rest of the Ekujae around, they are gobsmacked that this outsider just walked straight up and pet the lion, and clearly the lion has no problem whatsoever. Toothless is perfectly happy with this.
See, that's what none of them ever tried. They never
We've
tried
never tried to just
do
walk
it.
up and pet the lion. It seemed like an awful idea, admittedly. And so, in the coming months, Resme was the responsible for the deaths of dozens who now assume that the lion is completely harmless and they can just pet the big kitty. Now, this is clearly, with the wide berth that the Ekujae elves give Toothless and how they treat her and the distance and the respect they give her, either they have tried before and failed, or she has made it clear to them that she didn't really tolerate anyone getting terribly close to her. But Resme, again, no nat 20, no problems whatsoever. And it has made a visible impression on all of the elves present, which has grown now into an actual crowd along the edge of the platform, just staring in utter disbelief.
You brought society to a halt.
After a little while, I'll climb back down out of the tree, and I'll give her a little head bow in respect.
At this point, honestly, Toothless is probably basically asleep.
Yeah, she just does. She was purring. She's happy.
She's not even conscious anymore. She's just passed down on a branch.
That was amazing. There's some sort of energy that comes off of her, and she's just one of the most incredible animals I've ever seen.
Well, I don't care what kind of energy animals like that are giving off. You better watch yourself when just walking up to random big game just walking around. I don't want to see you just walking up to something like a viper or something and then just patting it on the head.
I wouldn't do it normally, but it seemed like I should.
Yeah, that's the kind of talk that leads to trouble.
Well, it does seem like this particular lion has a semblance of intelligence. They're acting in an odd way.
How so?
Not as in they're smart like us, as in it lives in a place it normally wouldn't, around elves.
I've got a demon dog, also known as a honey badger, at home, and that thing lives where it shouldn't, and we can't get rid of it.
Yeah, this lion's
that's a little different.
This lion's like, I could kill and eat everything I'm looking at. I'm very happy.
This pleases me. Oh, by the way, buddy, I have a present for you.
Okay. Well, the last present you gave me got me laid, so, I mean, I'm okay with these presents.
That was a visual image I didn't need, but okay. Sure. I'll take Buddy into the wagon that I brought along with me, and I'll get really, really excited, and I'll kind of pull a cord that was hanging, like that a curtain was hanging, and behind it are just 6 hats.
Selection of slightly different cowboy
This
hats.
is some
on a
high
rack.
quality stuff you've got here.
And while you're looking at that, we have a hero point from Destronets. Rur, I swear if you use this to dance again,
I might.
I am going to be overjoyed. How many does that put you at?
1.
What? Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
I forgot. You actually used every
3.
single one of them.
I would have used my halfling luck too if I hadn't used it saving our spider friend.
Never have I seen so many hero points and villain points spent on a dance battle simultaneously. But, meanwhile, down in the jungles below, Esvus and Dal'ren are still helping a hunt. As you get some distance from Akravel, Galenor turns back to the group of you, puts up a hand to stop the hunters. Well, you wanted to come hunt? This is your hunt. Find a spray. Kind of a smirk on his face, looking across the group of you. The two of you, rather.
A power play on his part. That's fine. We'll just do what we do. Maybe we can look for these sorts of things. So Dal'ren's going to use his knowledge of jungle lore to tell Esvus what to look for, so Esvus with the actual skills to go hunt knows what to look for.
So at the moment, we are just trying to find something to hunt. This isn't survival yet. We're not following it. This would just actually be raw perception.
Okay.
Or nature. I would absolutely use jungle lore in place of that.
Okay.
So you can either both roll, or one of you can roll and the other can aid. Is however you want to do it. But you would both know with your survival, are you trained in survival at least?
Yeah, I am not. No, I usually hire people
Esvus,
for
you
that.
would definitely know, and you could share this. On a hunt like this, it's sort of a group effort, because it doesn't matter how good you are if somebody else scares off the quarry. So if you both want to roll independently, It's going to be whoever rolls worse is what we go with.
Okay.
Okay.
I know what I hunt for back home. If you are aware of the types of beasts, draw on your knowledge, and I will use my eyes. So, what's your jungle lore?
Don't answer that.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Don't
answer that.
That's fine. That's fine.
Are you confident? Don't answer that with a number, rather.
Yeah.
How confident are you that you know about these things?
After some meditations, I feel I can. I should know. I should know the basic signs and at least environments that we should go and head towards.
Very well. I will attempt to assist you while I'm looking around. Just describe it to me, okay?
Oh, very good.
So, mechanics-wise, I will roll to assist, and...
Okay. So you want to aid with perception, I assume, instead of nature? Or...
Yeah, I'll aid with perception.
Okay, I don't actually know. I assume perception's probably better for you, Archer man.
Yeah.
So give me your aid check.
Luckily, I get a +1 for being in a place like this. So that'll be a total of 22.
So 22 will succeed. Who's going to, with his eyes, you get a +2. Try to find something of value here on your, I assume, jungle lore.
All right, so that's a 4 on the die. I'll probably use a session reroll for this.
You can't look like a fool,
And then
man.
the heroes went hungry that night.
They caught a chipmunk.
And we ate ants.
That's slightly better. So that's 20.
So 20, so you end up with a 22 total. So as you are looking around, looking for the signs of things that you're after, you're never terribly far from a river in the jungle. That's just how it is. There's water everywhere. And it would not be difficult for you to track down some small river turtles or something for you to head after and hunt down. But that's... well, certainly not the best option you could go for. You do find the tracks of what appears to be a pair of fairly small river boars. Still, a small boar is a relatively large creature. These aren't juveniles. I mean, these things are still going to be pretty chunky, and 2 of these may be an entire feast's worth of meat unto itself. That seem like they could be worthy prey.
These look good here. Environment here, perhaps the tracks that you found. This could be it right here.
So I'll motion over to... sorry, what is his name again?
Gelnor.
Gelnor?
Yep.
Motion over to Gelnor, show the signs, hoof prints, breaks in the grass, breaks in the reeds and bushes and things. Pair, river boars, you said?
Yes.
This is the track, this is the trail, this is where they go. Maybe young, but certainly not juvenile.
And he motions back to a couple of his hunters with a bit of a grin on his face for them to come look as well. As they're kind of looking down, gingerly touching at some things, check out some of these signs. He nods. Again, surprisingly impressive. Red River boar is a good meat. And these look like they will be large enough to feed a feast for all of Akuvel. We can catch them. Do not look like they are far. Come, we only have so much light to work with.
Follow my lead for staying quiet.
Very good.
And at this point, they do get a bit lower. They are moving much more cautiously, sticking closer to underbrush, the trunks of trees staying out of sight. And all of the Ekujae elves seem to be able to move damn near silently as they proceed, still in a group of, there's like 7 of them, through the floor of the jungle. What armor do you guys have?
I have leathers.
You have leathers.
I also have leathers.
You have hide now, right? Yeah, you have the leather. You have the actually leather that you.
I have
got
the leather,
from,
yeah,
from
plus
Beetle.
the light leather. I
Right.
got
So you
from
guys
Beetle.
both also have leather. So nobody's got like chainmail or anything on here that is going to be either bright or noisy. So you also get down, blend in as well as you can, and follow along. They're not wrong. Though you've been traveling through the jungle for probably about an hour before you took some time, 20 minutes or so, to find signs of the quarry. It was maybe only half an hour more before the signs and the tracks started to become very fresh, indicating that they're not far off. And as it's getting close to sundown, it's likely that the boars aren't going to be traveling much further, and they're either going to be headed back to some kind of a den or to wherever it is that they are going to bed down or feed for the night, or they're not going to travel through the dark. And as everyone slows down further, Galenor bringing the whole party to a halt to check out some of these last bits of tracks. He turns back to Esvus. Well, I will admit, perhaps I have misjudged you. I've led this hunt well so far. I believe we will find this boar on the other side of this embankment. Where should we put the hunters? Or do you wish to try to take this shot yourself? Perhaps a friend here can show us the value of his big sticks.
I could take one. But it'd be best if we got eyes. Is the jungle just as thick here as it is normal?
It is still. You're not in a clearing by any stretch of the imagination. It is still, like, all of this would be considered both difficult terrain and concealment. It is.
So this guy's walking around with a
going.
longbow, right?
Does in fact have a longbow.
Okay.
Let's guarantee food. You and I will circle around to where, if they are on the other side of the embankment, let's spook them to the rest of them, let them fan out, and let's make sure we eat. Come on.
Very good.
Very good and very bold. It only works if you can get there without giving away your position or scaring them in the other direction.
Follow me.
He turns and gives a couple of quick hand gestures to the hunters that are with him. We will be in position. We wait for... Well, I'm sure we'll see. We'll be up on this embankment, bows at the ready, within 2 minutes. It'll probably take you longer to get around, so go when you can.
Let's go.
Let's go.
So you two are going to attempt to sneak around the side of this. And as you move out of this underbrush around to the side of this embankment, as the elves draw and knock arrows in their bows, slowly, almost crawling up through the brush towards the top of it. Around a trunk, you start to hear just the rustling in the brush that these two boars are making just by moving around, and then little bits of errant snorting. And it's not too much further around before you can see a bit of movement. You're going to sneak around the backside to run them towards your hunters. You're going to have to be able to get around and close enough without getting them going another direction. So I'm going to need a stealth check.
Are you willing to follow the expert?
I will be happy to follow the expert.
So let's do quiet allies.
Let's do that.
So with Esvus' setup, you only have to roll. You roll one check, but it's the lowest modifier.
Lowest modifier.
Which I'm assuming is probably yours.
My stealth's plus 11.
Yeah, my stealth's plus 13.
So it is plus 11, but he's following the expert, so it makes him also a plus 13. So you basically just roll one of your checks for the both of you.
All right. 29.
29 is pretty good. With a 29, you slowly, cautiously, and silently work your way around the backside here. This embankment across the other side from you. And as you come around some trunks, you can see the boars have made their way into what almost looks like a bit of just a muddy pit. Den that has just been dug out in the ground. And you can see the pair of them, dark brown, hulking, pretty large creatures in their own right, probably about 2.5, 3 feet up to the shoulder off the ground. Massive, almost just jagged, dirty tusks. One of them snooting around on the ground, just pushing some mud, and the other one just sniffing over him. You can see them clear with the heavy brush and tree line on the embankment directly behind them. The one that's just kind of sniffing turns towards your direction a bit. They're not really seeing you, but aware that something is amiss. But not spooked, not running quite yet. You can just barely make out little bits of longbows and the tiny glints of arrowheads up on the top of the ridge. So, as you go in for this is a little bit different because you are both going to need to participate as much as you can to ensure that you come home with something and you don't leave empty-handed here. This one is going to be the survival check. Here is the active hunt. You can actually still follow the expert, but you do both have to make your own rolls unless you wish to just entirely hang back and not. You can't just aid. You can't just support.
I am not at all good at survival, so
I was gonna have Esvus just. This is where I'm going to. I'm assuming you haven't done this before.
typically no.
Okay. I will give a signal. I want you to shout, be as scary as you can. I'm going to cause some hurt. It'll hopefully spook them the way that they need to go. Got it?
I can be loud and showy.
Good. Here we go. Draw 2 arrows. Slowly
I'm gonna
pull
get that
back.
trident out that I picked up from that.
The first of the river boar that's been kind of like sniffing around like in our direction, I'm going to hunt prey to get a +2 to my survival checks against this thing.
There you go. All right. So as you ready to launch this, give me your survival check.
Gotta use the green one for nature.
No, you're fine.
Why would you do that? Why would you poison the well?
Why would you put that in?
You're a bad person.
Don't you put that evil on me, Rare Ash Bloom. Yeah, I'm gonna use a hero point on that one. It's your fault.
It's your fault.
It's your fault.
So the dice is...
So that hero point was from Destronets. Thank you, Destronets. This will be a 23.
With a 23, but with the ready, what do you guys do?
Just nod once and slowly creep up with 2 arrows drawn and just send them flying through the air at the rear end of this river boar.
And as they hit the trident, crackling with lightning, streaks forward, and a minor lightning bolt strokes out from his outstretched hand to blast the boar's hindquarters some more.
And as you fire these 2 arrows, the 2 arrows land the flank of this boar, one after the other, side by side, burying themselves deep before the trident flies by as well. The second boar turns to run before a pair of arrows launch down from up on the ridge, striking him as well. The sniffing boar looking your direction doesn't even get a chance to react before he gets hit a couple times, and the blast from the trident of the lightning just kind of knocks him back down onto his rear before he falls over on the ground. The other one gets a few feet before these couple arrows connect, and he just slips in the mud, falling over onto his side, sliding to a near immediate stop.
How is this so much more intense than regular combat? I'm over here like
Because
Are we gonna eat tonight?
It's not just our lives, it's the whole village.
because we just established some amazing street cred, and they don't want to mess up the amazing impression we done made.
nobody's watching when we're in combat normally, and now everybody's watching, and it's so stressful.
It's because there's so much more writing on single die roll. It's like, because we all this was just the setup, and I gave you a roll on that one here. Guess who ain't catching no boars?
Are there any truffles down there?
That's not what happened. That's not what happened. That went fantastically. And as these go down, a couple of what appears to be a couple of quick shouts calls out from the Ekujae up on the ridges as some of them come down, sliding down the embankment towards the boars. Galenor making his way down as well. and just approaching the group of you, slings his bow back over his shoulder and puts both hands over the double palm gesture. Pretty big grin in his mouth. You know, it actually looks like his token, which is way too happy for this guy. Walking forward, and I hit the wrong hero point button. I gave you a hero point, so take the money. You almost got a bonus. That's
Oh.
No, you go down. You go down to 1. You don't go up to 3.
He has 2.
I have 2 of them.
You have 2? Oh, maybe I just hit it and it didn't go through. Maybe I'm just dumb.
He's just over
It's
here
possible
hitting
this new
buttons.
system doesn't work perfectly because I just set this up yesterday. But anyway,
And it's you.
that's me. Everything I touch does. He makes the motion. That is pretty good shooting. Impressive. Well, not sorry is not the correct word necessarily, but this is a good hunt and a good feast. You can relish this evening knowing that it is your hand that put this meat to the fire. He thinks for a second. I did not listen particularly well when you introduced yourselves. What was your name?
Esvus.
Esvus.
Dal'ren.
You done well. And tonight we eat well. Maybe Renavo's optimism for once will see good light.
Pick the boar up.
That's an entire boar.
Yeah.
Hefty hauler.
Picks the boar up.
In case they weren't impressed
A
enough.
few of us are just gathering around to drag the other, like,
Yeah, it's just-
400-pound boar, and then he's like,
That's cool. Just slings the entire boar over his shoulders.
See, this is why the
Sinking-
javelins are scary.
Sinking down another couple inches into the mud. So, I suppose our introductions were brief. You did not expect you to be, he makes kind of a little, like a flicking water on you. Hand motion. Hey, Ilumbo's a surprise. I only know so much Dal'ren.
Not quite Ilumbo. But I suppose in a way. Ilumbo is easy enough.
I can't imagine another explanation for a man throwing lightning from his hands, but, well, I suppose your stick does a bit better than I expected.
It's only because the lightning wouldn't want to disappoint me.
Come then. Let's get back to Akriville before the light leaves us.
a good idea.
So the group of you, Perry, you, and all of your hunters and Gellin are now in much better spirits. Start making your way back up towards town. Yeah, probably 2 or 3 of you working together to improvise a bit of a sledge with a couple of vines. They pull out little machetes and chop off from some of the nearby trees, weaving together with some thicker leaves. They get something almost akin to a net that you can at least rope around the thing and have a couple people pull on either side to make it a bit easier. It'll take a bit longer to get back because you drag it around the embankment rather than you're not going to go straight up that because that's stupid and dumb. So, as you go, start walking, he turns out to you in Elven. Look, I'm sorry for the way we were introduced, but you came here as outsiders with a man and whatever that small creature was in tow. Did not expect much of you. Admittedly thought you tagging along on this hunt would be a burden. We may have eaten nothing but bats and turtles tonight, but I was wrong, and I can admit when I make a mistake.
Glad it worked out well for our dinners and for our relationship. We look forward to having allies of the Ekujae. We are fighting Cinderclaws, the both of us, after all. It's good that we know we each other are strong.
Renavo told me that you had met the Cinderclaws, that you had dealt with the ones that had come through Hunter's Gate. They are strong warriors, and strong are still with their Lumbo. What is Taldane? What is a Taldane word for this?
Magic.
Magic. And it's still Elven, and still in Elven, they're magic. I learned something for today. I take that. But still, I feel like we made a mistake letting them get to the Ayudara, letting them touch Alceta's ring. A force as large as the one they brought to take Hunter's Gates. We should have noticed. That should not have gotten so far without us getting any warning. There's something more to it. But I'm sure Renavo's daughters will be more than happy to explain that to you later. I don't know any about it, but she looked into it some.
When we came through, we saw a strange totem outside of the gate. I don't know if they're trying to establish territory or what it's for.
That is what they were able to put together before we could mount a counterattack. That is what they could build. I assume they weren't able to complete whatever it was they were trying to do. It clearly looks unfinished, but I have never seen anything like it.
We should perhaps investigate. I mean, we might be able to learn something about what they're trying to do with it.
Once we're done investigating it, take a hammer to it.
Probably wise.
Certainly wise. Anything the Cinderclaws bring or build in this jungle does nothing but spread evil across it. I don't know the purpose of that totem, that statue, whatever it was, or if it even has one beyond being an icon to their dragon god. But even if just that, bringing it down only makes the jungles better.
Well, if they serve no other purpose, and Esvus will reach over to Dal'ren's pack and pull the leather sack that you have full of the cult icons.
I'm telling you, those things are handy.
And just shake it, just to let him hear the whole rattling of it. They'll add more to the collection and put it back to your pack.
Again, impressive. So, at least you can fight tiny monkeys.
I like setting them on fire.
He kind of grins a bit.
There seems to be no end of them.
Well, that much is certainly true. We'll find out exactly how many tiny monkeys you can fight before you return home, I fear.
You may need a larger sack.
That gets a little bit of a laugh out of him. And a couple of the other hunters as well. But you make your way back to Aquavel over the course of the next hour or so. Meanwhile, back in the town.
It's like flex for the hunters.
Flex for the hunters.
What are the three of you guys doing after your brief interaction with Toothless?
Are we dressed okay for the jungle, or should we get changed into
I mean, I would
something else?
imagine you
Yeah.
probably figured you were coming to the jungle.
Yeah.
So what do you guys all have? I mean, Buford's a freaking full plate, so like it is it is hot and it is sweaty for sure. I don't think
So
that
I
you
did bring you
the
some
t-shirts
spare
exist in
clothes.
Easter.
Your wife kind of insisted. She said that you were stubborn and you wouldn't take off your full plate, but she said that if you listened to reason and wore some nice clothing tonight, you would be happy about it when you got back.
Yeah, this'll fit great under my full plate. Yeah, this'll totally work. And those boots are real nice, and these and it'll match this new hat I'm wearing. Oh man! And
I would imagine not necessarily t-shirts, but undershirts exist because you'd wear multiple layers in the cold environment. So I would probably just take off my vest and my overshirt and be wearing the light yellow undershirt that I would normally have on.
I'm actually going to wear my druid regalia because
I think
it
Dal'ren's
works
the
just
only
as well
one
as
who dressed
anything.
for the weather. I changed my armor.
I got leather on now. Which is I got a trident. Like I'm ready. Like, let's go do jungle stuff.
I got my magic hands.
You got magic hands. You don't need anything special.
So yeah, I'll put on my druid regalia since we're going to a party.
And you would ready up and change Buford.
I'm gonna try to make him look respectable. I don't know what to do
Change
with his
my
armor.
hat. I mean, I could change my clothes under my armor before I put my armor back on.
Eating dinner in armor.
Hey, are you planning on wearing your full plate to dinner? Like,
I could take my gauntlets off. You know, eating's real easy.
Or the suit right
takes
through
a
the
couple.
visor.
Yeah.
you just
the
got this.
eyeballs.
Why are you so attached to it all of a sudden?
Well, you know, I never really got to wear my full plate all that often because I was worried it would rust.
Really, Buford just forgot how to unbuckle the straps.
I know how
That's-
to take the codpiece off, and that's all that matters.
Just sleep in it.
Help. Help. Please save us. So you're just staying in your full plate. You're not planning on taking anything off. You're gonna take your metal gauntlets off to eat and just put your visor up.
Well, I could take my helmet off and still have my hat on. I got some fancy new hats now.
You could take your helmet off and still have your hat on. I mean, it's not unheard of to keep your breastplate on. but,
Everybody else is walking around in armor. I don't see why this is such a big deal.
Well, because
I'm not.
they have like a
Well,
leather.
you have your underwear on. That's about all you have, anyways.
Most people have got like a leather chest piece and maybe some band braces that are strapped on, and that's about it.
I'm wearing some really pretty jewelry.
Resmus doesn't have any armor. Ver doesn't have any armor. Esvus and Dal'ren are getting ready to go on a hunt. The Ekujae around don't have any armor. Like they're just it's really just you.
I don't see it that way.
Although to be fair, I once did tell you that I had armor and it was invisible, so you might have totally bought that, and I am still wearing armor.
Besides, like, it's not. These people are here for our help, and I mean, how do we know that these people aren't just gonna jump out of the trees at us or anything?
Like our hosts?
No. The
The
people that the
Cinderclaws.
Cinderclaws.
Oh.
So after you spend some time changing your dress, you maybe storing some things in the wagon, possibly Buddy swapping out his hat for a fancy newer hat that's less sweaty because it is very, very
Yeah, if
warm.
there's like nothing to do around, I'd probably just.
Well,
are there, like-
as you are finishing, Nikita would approach you again, and she would come forward and do the one-handed gesture,
I do the two-handed gesture.
do the whole thing. I know that you are probably hoping for some rest, maybe, but the twin leopards wish to meet you.
Oh, of course.
I assume the hunt is still out, but
Oh, you better show me some like good greetings and such. I'd love to, show them my respects.
and she kind of waves both hands. There is no need. The twin leopards understand that you are from a different culture. We have no expectation for you to follow our customs or anything. You will not offend. You need not
It's
worry.
real fun, your dancing game was like a real hoot. And I'd, just like surely like to follow along.
If you wish to make a good impression, the best I can give you is the simple introduction. And she, again, palms up forward and then down at her side, palms out. I believe it is equivalent to your bow.
Ah, perfect. That's what I'll do then.
It serves much similar purpose. It would, if nothing else, put a smile on their faces.
Are the twin leopards your elder council?
They are the leaders of the leopard clan, yes, as it stands. I'll say Varn and I'll say Corey.
Or say Varn or say Corey. Does that mean anything specific in Mwangi to me?
I'll say it's clearly a title.
Yeah.
But their names,
No,
Varn and
okay.
Corey, are just names. And they do not speak the Dal'ren tongue, so I will come along to interpret for them.
Thank you, we appreciate it.
I hope that there was nothing you had promised yourselves to, but if so, any Ekujae will understand the twin leopard's call.
No, we would never offend. Please take
Well,
us to
Nothing
them.
planned yet.
I did promise that kid that I'd teach them the two-step, but I can always do that later.
There will be much time at the feast. Do not worry. Come then, it is not far. And did follow Nikita, and she would lead you around to a...
One thing, I'll ask you guys to help me too. I brought some staples, from home to kind of offer them, like things that they haven't seen before, like apples, corn, like things that are like berries, like things that are not very strange to
Are
us.
you trying to tell me that the delegate is performing delegate duties?
Yeah, I'm being an emissary. I'm doing emissary things.
Huh.
emissating.
I'm emissating.
So as the group of you follow Nikita, she leads you around to a woven path of vines that winds upward a bit through the branches in a big arcing crescent-shaped curve up to the platform up above this main one, and leads you all the way across to the back of that, where two more Ekujae women are standing. There is no throne room. It's not even in any building. It is simply a separated, clear back portion of this platform, circular itself, surrounded with wooden, massive carvings of various strange faces and fronds, forming a loose sort of wall with large gaps between them that you can still see down to the platforms, the lower platform, and out into the jungle beyond. It's very open, and there are a group of 3 Ekujae standing posted around it. But it doesn't even have like a formal entrance. There's no hallway or anything that leads to this. It's just a part of the upper platform. And as Nikita approaches and gestures for the 3 of you to stand before them, she does the greeting with the hands,
We'll
all
copy.
do the same
which
thing.
everyone copies. And the 2 twin leopards, Osevarn and Kori, do not repeat it. They simply speak together in Mwangi. Both of them almost incanting as they speak this sentence at the same time. And you would understand it, but Nikita would quickly translate out to the party as she looks over. We are Ose Kori and Ose Varn of the Leopard clan. Our mother is of the Hot clan.
Buddy.
And Nikita laughs a bit as you look at them and do the same thing. They are familiar. Have no fear. They wish to ask questions of you.
Please.
Of course.
And so the first of them steps forward. And Ose Varn is wearing a dark blue tunic, covered with copper-wrapped amulets and bits of green cloth. It goes all the way full body down to her ankles. She is one of the only Ekujae you would have seen that appears to be wearing anything close to a full body dress, as most of them dress very lightly. It's incredibly warm in the jungle. She, like all Galarian elves, has just massive, deep blue eyes. And I want to restate this because Galarian elves are very different looking than traditional fantasy elves. And it would be notable that Nikita does not look like this. They don't have irises and pupils. Their eyes are all just flat one color, just like it shows here. But hers are a much brighter, shining blue. Both of the twin leopards would be, whereas most of the Ekujae, it's a bit darker and duller. It will be something immediately noticeable as you walked up to them. And both of them have all of their hair drawn back into massive, thick black locks with a bunch of brass and bronze bangles wrapped around them, and dark black sandals with more bits of green cloth and copper amulets just sort of adorning them. As she walks forward, her hands down straight at her sides, but a grin on her face, looks across the 3 of you, and starts talking in Mwangi, which Nikita is, of course, quick to translate for you. We welcome you on behalf of the Leopard clan to Akravel, and hope that you have found your accommodations and your welcome warm and friendly. We wish to meet the travelers from the northern lands for ourselves and judge of them their purpose and their character. And then she waits a moment as she's listening for Ose Varn to finish the statement. Ose Varn asks of you, Resme, to speak of your family.
In Mwangi, I will tell her about my family. That my mother is an elf, going back many generations, but that my father was a druid, and that I was born of a religious ceremony that is very sacred to our people. And I was sent to the druids to learn their ways, but I am of both worlds. And I am an emissary to many peoples, and we have come here to help you as much as we can, and to bring what assistance we can, and to share our knowledge with you.
And Ose Varn, as you finish this, she's looking directly at you the entire time, and both of them, hands down at their sides, watching, waiting, their visage almost unchanging. They are much more at ease than like Valia was. It's very different, but they do not interrupt. They don't make any motion, and the Ekujae don't do a whole lot of the usual like acknowledgments that they're listening. There's no nods. There's no right, and there's no verbal things. They stand and they listen, silent, as you tell them your story. At the end of it, she would, smiling a bit wider, reply back to you, "Thank you, Resme, for your tale." And Nikita doesn't translate that. She simply waits. And then Ose Varn clearly turns to Buford. And you would be able to tell she's repeating the same thing she said before. Nikita translates, "Ose Varn would ask you, buddy, to speak of your family." I will translate. Don't worry.
Well, I'll be. My family is just the best thing that's ever come to pass. I've got 2 boys now. One of them's named Bo, and the other one's named Mac. Of course, that's not the real name, but Bartholomew he's a real good boy, but he's real quiet, He's kind of shy. But anyway, I'm getting off track here. My wife is just a vision, Just sees the good in everyone, I say. Her name's Bonnie, and we've been married for a couple years now, and her family is real good, the warrior types now. But she married me because she really saw something in me. And she led me into a real good trust of Iomedae. And we've been following through, just trying to protect everything we hold sacred here. And my group here has really become my family. So I don't know if you want me to go over all their stories too, but I'm just here to protect everyone, really.
He's trying really hard to translate into the speakers. He's going and, struggling for something, trying to put in, wife, and stop her over, life partner, bonded, and then catch up with everything he said since then. Nikita's visibly struggling, trying to keep up with the rate at which that you are speaking here. But she's going, and Ose Varn still stands there, smile on her face, hands at her side, watching as you talk. Gaze occasionally shifting back and forth between you and Nikita as she speaks.
And my uncle now, his name is Jeffrey, but he's been on the aggressive side, but he really means well. And his wife, her name is Donna, and we don't really like her much. She's a bit weird around the edges.
I don't think they need to know your entire family tree. I think you did great.
Okay. Well, that's the important parts, anyways.
And she would say the same thing as she had said to Resme, but Nikita would translate this time. Before Ose Varn turns to Rur and Nikita. Ose Varn would ask you, Rur, to speak of your family.
Well, not a ton is known about my parents necessarily. I was raised by the Church of Sarenrae. I've grown up in a clergy for the majority of my life. They are my family. I was raised by a nun, and essentially It's as if Sarenrae is my parental figure.
And translating that through, Osefan would cock her head a bit to the side and start speaking English. Nikita would translate. So, Osevarn would ask that you have no clan, you have no mother.
Essentially, yes.
And she just turned back. Yeah, Bo. Then almost looked a little puzzled. Osevarn would wait a moment before replying with the same thank, before she would step back next to Osekori. And Osekori would step forward, looking very similar, but with a more patterned green dress, and the copper jewelry adorning her studded with raw and uncut gems, and something that would be unheard of up in Isker, Cheliax, or Taldor. And she looks to Rur, and Nikita translates, Osekori would ask you, Rur, of what you believe to be most important.
What is best in life, Conan?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
You know the answer.
I would say, for me, the best thing in life is the service that I can provide to others through my blessings that I receive from my deity. That my worship and my devoutness can help others.
And she would relay that back to Osekori, who would stand now one step in front of the other leopard, standing as still, arms at her side, as her partner, as she listened. And would thank you before turning to look at Buford. Nikki would translate, of course, the same thing. Osekori would ask of you, Buford, what is most important?
Well, the most important is to keep kindness in your heart and look upon others with kindness also. I mean, I've always been told by Iomade herself, I tell you, but is always to believe that there's really good in everyone. You just have to find it. But, you know, sometimes you just have to dig deeper than others.
I would relay that back before thanking you as well. And, of course, Osekori would ask you, Resme, what is most important in life?
To be honest, I have only 19 years to my name, and these past few months are my first time away from my family and really on my own. And to be honest, I don't know if I know the answer to that yet.
And you give your answers in Wangi directly to her, so the kid need not translate, nor can Rur and Buddy understand what it is that you're saying. But she would, again, seem a bit perplexed by this last answer as well, before she thinks for a minute, and replies directly back to you. This outlook is wise for one with so few years. I thank you. And steps back to, again, align herself with the other leopard. They both look across the group, and then they turn to Buford. This is his turn to go first. And first, Osevarn speaks in Wangi, and Nikita translates. Osevarn would ask of you, Buford, what skills you are most proud of.
Well, I'm good at protecting others. There's nothing more to it. I'm just, I can protect everybody that's come under my protection, really.
And she translates that. Osevarn replies very quickly, and Nikita translates again. She inquires as to the. You have your hammer in your whip, right?
Shink,
Yeah.
shink.
She inquires as to the hammer at your hip. This is your chosen weapon that you use to protect others.
Well, I've got this and this. The best weapon to protect others with is my shield here, and my belief in Iomedae. I don't know if you have. Well, I'm sure you have, but Renovo over there is very similar to me, and where my faith can protect others better than any type of metal or any type of weapon ever could.
And she relays that back. Let's say Corey then makes a quick motion, crossing her arms in front of her before replying. And Nikita translates. Let's say Corey would ask of you, Buford, to demonstrate this skill to her.
Okay, sure. This'll be great. Okay, now, you, if you could just attack...
She... and,
Punch my friend.
Okay,
I'll
see
say
this?
Corey turns to one of the three of the trio of Ekujae around the platform and speaks to them quickly. And she, the other elf nods and turns and reaches back behind the little wooden carvings, the large designs that decorate the outside of this, and pulls forth a fairly large case, a couple feet wide, maybe a foot tall, and 2 feet deep or so. Almost square if it were a bit taller. And pulls it out and lifts it. It's woven of what appears to be vines and wicker. And steps forward and just presents it out to Osei Corey. And opens it in front of her. And it's kind of faced away from you, so you can't see what's in there, really. But Osei Corey reaches down and pulls out what looks like a wooden, almost baton. About 4 feet long, with a perfectly round hilt above her hand. And lifts it out with 2 hands and turns towards you and holds it down in front of her.
Step
And then-
back a little.
She's not like taking a position or anything, just holding it down so you can see the thing. And she speaks again, and Nikita translates. Osei Corey would like to test your skill in this protection.
Well, I don't want to misuse Iomedae's protections here, but I'm sure if she sees the moment is right, we can give it a go. It means that it does mean that you'll have to protect someone else, though, because I'm not here to protect myself. I'm here to protect others.
So,
I volunteer. I say in Mwangi.
who wants to step forward to get whacked with a stick? So, at that, I
take
think
your
that's a
beating
decent
later.
time to take a history break real quick here.
Osei Corey's like, I feel like a jerk now.
I thought I was going to be hitting the big metal man.
And we will return back to this in a couple of minutes. So everyone, first of all, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out. Dragons and things, man, you guys are still around. Thank you for that raid. You inspired a glorious natural 20. Your power flowed through us immediately. Feel free to refill your drinks, get some snacks, use the bathroom. We'll be back here in a couple of minutes to see how effectively Buford can protect somebody from the leader of the tribe she's trying to make friends with a stick.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Be right back, everyone. So, as we return from our break here, Buford his opportunity to show off how he can protect others. I'll say Corey has a stick. He's got an almost perfectly rounded, carved and polished wooden baton. Probably about 4 feet long.
And looking at this woman, do I think she could do some damage?
I mean, that be a society check.
Is this or a perception for how she's standing, maybe?
It's society to identify humanoids.
I'm not identifying her.
Can I do
Identifying is your battle
okay.
knowledge. That's like
Okay.
that's an express usage of another skill.
Oh,
So I
okay.
can't give I can't give it to you on perception for that one.
Okay.
But as you look at her, she's very graceful and very deliberate about her movements. Again, not nearly as much as Valia. But as she holds this before her, she definitely looks like she is not clueless about how swords work. So she steps forward, and then Nikita instructs you to step forward as well. And the two of you, well, with Resme as well, the three of you, I suppose, take your places in the center of the area. So, Osei Kori speaks, Nikita translating. So, what you wish to demonstrate to Osei Kori is your skill at protecting your friend with your shield.
Well, it's a sort of shield, yeah.
Perhaps this warrants explanation.
Well, it's just like Renovo has. When we were out fighting with Renovo, we have the ability. I have the ability to call on Iomade and ask for her to make people reconsider their choices on harming one of my family.
Very well. And she translates. She waits for you to finish before translating this, making sure that Nikita herself kind of understands what it is you're saying before she relays the information to Osei Kori. And as Osei Kori responds, it translates as well. She does not wish to strike any of our guests, of course. So, this...
Well, then strike and you'll do no damage.
I don't mind getting hit.
She realized this again.
I promise you will not hurt this woman if you hit her with your sticking thing. Whooping stick of sorts.
So Nikita nods and relays that too. And as Osei Kori responds, Nikita translates, well, very well then. Are you ready?
This is actually tougher to watch than I thought it was going to be, because normally there's a reason that we're getting, but... And I'd like readjust the grip on my shield and look at Resme and be like, okay.
She looks at Buddy and she just goes, it's okay.
Now you're making me feel worse about this. I don't know. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let's go for it. I'm telling you now, I could use some help.
Kori steps towards Resme and raises the baton up in front of her before holding it out to one side and then quickly, but not terribly forcefully, swinging it out towards Resme. Towards her shoulder.
Resme doesn't
Would
move.
it damage her? Because it has to damage her.
She does stop. Stops her swing about half an inch away from actually connecting with Resme.
You're gonna have to try a little bit harder than that, honey. You gotta go for it, man.
And Nikita, it's like Kori doesn't look like bothered at all. She really just kind of looks at you a little perplexed again. And Nikita translates loosely.
Go for it. She's a
without
tough girl.
exactly what she
She
said.
can take a hit. Come on.
And you with Magi understand. She translates. Osei Kori, Buford will not be able to demonstrate his protection if you do not actually strike Resme. And
If we walk around the corner right now, we're like, oh my god, what has happened?
It's a public.
It's a
Ekujae
diplomatic
just
incident.
beat Resme.
actually hear you say.
It's all right. This is how we make friends.
I know this is a weird situation, but I promise you, man. Go for it.
So she'll pull the stick and hold it in front of her again, this baton, before extending it out to the side once more. And again, not particularly forcefully,
Hard.
striking towards Resme. This time continuing into her shoulder.
And would it do any damage?
It would do 1 damage.
That's enough.
That's enough damage. And she would feel this weight of guilt as all of the people who had come into town to help their people just kind of backed off to let them deal with it themselves, and kind of backed off if she followed through with this hit.
So make me a religion check.
Okay. I totally know religion.
Because what's
actually.
more important is the effect of this vision itself, what it is, this glimpse that Osei Kori sees, rather than the fact that it blunts her strike.
Session
Can I
reroll.
also do one?
Session reroll.
Oh.
Good old session reroll
There's no
here.
conceivable way you could help with this.
No, just for my own analysis.
Aha, that was much
There we
better. Okay, so that is a 24.
Well, 24. And she again stops short, but looking again more perplexed. Before she pulls the stick back and turns and heads back to the wicker crate, and gripping with 2 hands, lays it back in the crate where that the one other Ekujae, I guess there would be a page basically, has just been still waiting with that box the entire time. Before she taps the lid and the page closes it, and returns back to the corner of the platform and places it on the ground. And Osei Kori turns and speaks first to Osei Varn, and they discuss briefly in Wangi what Res may be able to understand. Kori is basically explaining what just happened and explaining what she experienced there. The vision she saw in her head for a moment. And as she finishes, Varn responds, just inquiring, this physically stopped you, this power. It prevented you, it showed you a future. Which Kori replies, it did. It stayed in my hand entirely. I may have been able to push through it, but I didn't try. And as they talk, there is no emoting. They don't make any kind of hand gestures or even body movements, really, to go along with their speech. They stand not perfectly still, but somewhat relaxed, hands at their side, and just say the words at each other, plainly and directly.
Well, that's interesting. I've actually never known what Buddy did before or even heard a description of it. So this is actually kind of
So you
news
would
to
actually
resume
hear a
too.
description, of what is happening. She saw this future, and this force prevented her. It stopped her, stayed her hand before she struck. And they both turned back. And as Osei Kori begins speaking again, Nikita translating. Osei Kori is impressed with this power, this protection that you exhibit, and your ability to perform this with no incantation, no movement, no magic of yourself. She questions, and waits a moment as Osei Kori is still talking. She asks to confirm this is a divine power, you say, that has been granted to you by your deity.
Well, yeah, it's really my belief in everybody having some good in them. I mean, you didn't hit her because the good in you decided it was not the right thing to do. Even if you had plans, obviously in combat, there's a lot more high feelings going. But Iomade watches over, and she knows the thoughts and feelings of all that are fighting, especially those that are trying to protect. She'll lend an arm to anybody who's asking, really.
As the kid is translating that, and Kori responds again. I'll say, Kori, thanks you, Buford, for your demonstration. I'll say, Kori would ask of you, Resme, what skill you are most proud of.
Well, I have magic, but it's not really a skill. It's something I was born with, so I don't know if I can really be proud of it because, I mean, I didn't earn it. I suppose the thing I would be most proud of is that I know when and when not to use it.
She translates that back, and I'll say Claire responds again, Nikita translating. I'll say Corey would wish to test your control of this magic you were born with, to gauge its depth.
All right, what would you like me to do?
And the quick back and forth. I'll say Corey asks if this is magic that can strike like a weapon, magic that could defend you.
I have both.
She translates that back, and Corey again asks for the page in his box. But he doesn't grab the box this time. Another page pulls out a much smaller basket, open on the top, of what appears to be small 3-inch clay discs, fairly light gray. And let's say Corey takes one
Shoot.
and pulls it out, and then holding it out before her, speaking with Nikita translating. I'll say Corey would ask that you demonstrate your control of this magic by striking this disc as she throws it through the air.
Fireball.
Yeah, nah.
That'll hit it.
So electric arc says I can target 2 things. Could I target both the discs?
Well, she has one disc.
Just one disc? Okay.
Her and the disc.
Cute, though. No, actually, no, I know what I'm going to do. It's fine.
Surprise. So she takes the disc and just takes one step forward before asking a question. Nikita translates, how much space do you need for your magic?
I can be fairly focused when I want to. I will not harm any of you. Give me a good 30 to 40 feet would probably be a good idea. I don't want anything to break apart and get in anyone's eyes or face.
The clay is soft. There is no concern. But,
Okay.
and she turns and translates it back to Osei Kori, who turns away, facing the same direction as you, both towards the back of the platform. And then pulls an arm back low to and out to the side to toss it almost kind of in a sweeping arc. And as Nikita asks briefly if you are ready, she throws the small clay disc out in front of her.
I'll watch it, and as it gets to just the right place, I'll toss a magic missile at it, just a single one.
So as this single bolt flies out and strikes the clay pigeon,
You didn't tell me it was a pigeon. That's just wrong.
You killed an animal. You...
Why?
Clay animal.
Osei
Okay,
Kori
sorry.
turns around, with the same normal smile on her face, and looks to Osei Varn, who looks back to her, and Osei Varn says something quietly to Osei Kori that you can't easily make out. Before Osei Kori turns back towards you and says in Mwangi, this magic is one we have studied before. A simple cast where the spell controls itself. It demonstrates no mastery.
If you want me to demonstrate mastery, we're gonna have to go someplace where I've got a little more room.
And then, thank you for demonstrating your skills for the Twin Leopards. And Osei Varn steps forward
They don't want to see my
to
skills.
take her place looking at Rur.
Okay.
Nobody cares about you.
We're like, what about
I
me?
want to
What
do
about
it.
me?
I want to do it. No.
Yeah.
And down to you, Nikita translates. Osei Varn would ask of you, Rur, what skills you are most proud of.
There's 2. The powers bestowed to me by Saren Ray and my own personal abilities when it comes to more mundane healing. I have access to divine magics and mundane, essentially, doctor skills. I'm fairly well trained in it.
After a quick translation exchange, Osevarn asks that if you bear with you tools, supplies with which you
have one,
practice
the
this cast.
bandolier.
It's a bandolier. I mean, they can't see what's in the bandolier visibly.
Yeah.
It's like a
It's got the little pockets with the medical tools sitting all in it. I can easily just
little
pull
pouches.
them
It's
out.
not like a band of shotguns shells with scalpels. Like,
No, I'll just start opening
But I mean,
up
you can't
pouches
pull
and
them out.
presenting tools.
and Osevarn steps forward and says something Nikita translates. While the twin leopards are no doctors themselves, Osevarn is practiced in a similar craft. She wishes for you to demonstrate your skills for her.
Here, let me help. And I'm gonna go over and just like punch through the wall. I'm helping. Don't worry here, I'll help. And I'm gonna try and get my knuckles bloody. Best option.
Gauntlet
punch
on.
through. Well, now I can take my gauntlet off.
I could just burn myself. It's way easier.
Not to worry, I've got this.
Nikita puts up her hands. No. Wait. This, please. Let the twin leopards present their challenge.
Oh,
Please.
okay, sure. Yeah, I'm not intruding or anything. I just, thought I could help.
They just grab one of the pages, throw them off, fix it.
This is Felix. He does this all the time.
Fetch the whipping boy.
Felix has like two black eyes, slinging an arm.
Oh no, more visitors!
Hold on, Felix. Give me 10 minutes. You'll be right as rain.
It never ends. They just keep visiting.
Osevarn
So that's what they
reaches.
do with their orphans.
She reaches up into the with her right hand up into the sleeve of the blue tunic she wears up onto her left arm, and pulls out a very slender, curved, almost crescent-shaped knife. The handle itself arced in the same way as the blade, and it all one just contiguous piece of dark metal. No wrapping or any kind of embellishment on the handle. And she takes it and steps forwards towards Rur, holding that in one hand and her other palm up towards you, and speaks in Wangi, which Nikita translates. Osevarn asks if you would demonstrate your medical skills with her.
Absolutely. That's not a problem. Although it does take a few minutes to perform this kind of procedure.
She translates that back. Osevarn kneels down on both knees, sitting down on her heels, before drawing the tip of the blade across her other palm, diagonally. Pretty lightly. She's not like slashing her hand open and spraying blood everywhere.
Cast stabilize.
But
Not prepared.
Well, there goes that NPC.
but splitting the skin enough for blood to start to surprisingly slowly ooze through her hand. And looking at it, you can tell the blade of her knife is impeccably sharp. That she can draw this almost like a paper cut across her palm. And without wincing or anything, places the knife on the ground and simply holds her hand forward. And Nikita, Osevarn would ask that you approach. It is a simple and small wound, but demonstrate what knowledge you have.
Well, I'll walk forward, reach into one of my pouches up closer to my right shoulder, and pull out a little handful of a powder and sprinkle it across the palm and battle medicine a coagulative agent just across.
You're not gonna like stitch this or anything. You got the other stuff. Give me a medicine check.
Yep, that's a 18. That passes just the regular check.
So with an 18, yeah, you were.
It's a small cut.
It's,
I mean,
it's literally like
it's
not lethal damage. It's like it's not even like bleeding so much that it is filling with blood slowly.
Something this simple is it's just as simple as a little powder, and you'll be right as rain.
And you are quickly and easily able to just staunch, and with that agent there, almost binding the surface of the skin back together, leaving just a little bit of a visible line with a small amount of blood welling underneath it, but nothing further. And Dose Varn nods and stands back up from her kneeling position and extends the same thanks to you that she had for every step of this process so far. As they step back together, both of them speaking as one again, as they had during the introduction. Nikita translating. Ose Kori and Ose Varn of the Leopard clan wish to test the true depth of your skills. They have heard tales of your trouble with the Cinderclaws and stories of your valor from our own champion. And Ose Varn turns to the page again, who brings the wicker box, and Ose Kori steps forward, her hands still at her side, looking towards Buford. And as Varn deals with the box, Kori speaks. And Nikita translates. Ose Kori knows that you cannot protect your friends if you cannot defend yourself. She wishes for you to demonstrate your valor and your skill by striking her with a baton.
Wait, you want me to strike her with a baton?
That is what she requests, yes.
She could strike me with a baton, and then I could show her how good I am at protecting myself.
And Ose Kori, standing there, Ose Varn again, has this wooden baton and holds it out forward.
I was never taught to hit a woman. Now, see here, I can protect myself like nobody's business. You could really lay in on me, and I doubt he'd do anything. And I'd throw a wink at her, be like, it'd be a really lot better if you were fighting me.
And
They may break the
I'm actually
baton
going to
on
try to explain that culturally and religiously it's actually against Buford's beliefs to fight unless he's being attacked. Like, it would be the same thing as asking them to go against one of their religious taboos.
right. So, Nikita would relay that. Go to relay it and stop for a moment, apologizing to the twin leopards for turning back. Before I give this to them, it is no fight. I know the twin leopards look simple, but a single blow will not strike either of them down. They have seen many years, many more than it would appear, and many of their own battles.
Could I show them a feat of strength, or...
Buford,
Are they-
imagine they insulted your wife.
Well, she would kill them if that was the case.
Buford, imagine they insulted Blue. Or they hurt Blue. They're gonna whip Blue, Buford. They're gonna do it. No, don't
But
believe
these
those eyes.
girls right here, they don't mean no bad.
Oh,
like,
they don't like your donkey. They told me things about him in Mwangi. You didn't understand it, but it was insulting beyond belief. The things they said about Blue would have made your face turn purple. I know you. You love Blue. Don't let them demean him and malign your family honor.
Trying to talk the
But
redeemer
I
into
mean-
flying into a rage.
but
This is
I
great.
mean, you know, actions speak louder than words, and they seem to be awful kind to everyone they meet.
They've already tried to blow us up.
They're offering repentance. They're giving you the stick. So you,
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, if it's real important to them that I smack them with a stick,
This
I
is
mean,
a test for my Omade.
I don't think that's true at all. I mean, I'll take a stick and smack someone with it if I really have to. Okay.
As you guys are talking, I'll say Corey is still staying there, hands at her side, and I'll say Varn still has the stick out. I was just watching the entire time, and Nikita is kind of looking back and forth. And I mean, she doesn't have these full elven eyes here. Nikita clearly is not a full elf, so I mean, you can see her look back and forth. You can't really tell exactly where an elf is looking because their entire eye is just color. But Nikita's looking a little back, almost a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
As you guys discussed, while the twin leopards are just waiting there.
Well, I'll pick up a stick and I'll also pick up my hammer and be like, so you'd rather this stick? Yeah? Hammer, stick. You're really selling a stick? Okay, let's do a stick.
Will you give me a light pop? Nah, I'll break your leg.
Wow! Did I win?
Don't worry, I'm here.
Another test for her.
Well, I'm not used to. I've got a whip and my hammer. I'm not used to hitting things with sticks, but I'll give it a go.
So you take the stick, very, very uncertain, taking it and stepping forward. Ose Varn steps back to give you some space, as is the page with the box. Whereas Ose Corey shifts her stance a little bit. Rather than standing upright, bends her knees slightly and puts both hands up in front of her, like boxing training. Like her fingers a bit curved, palms outward, and gets a little bit lower, crouching a bit as she waits, looking at you.
Come on, man. You can do this. Just one hit there. Okay. We can do this. Literally just one hit. They're just... Don't even look at her. Just look at the...
It's a very light wooden baton. As you're holding it now, you can tell it must be hollowed out, as it's not even...
I'd creak it a little bit.
It's not even a solid rod with which to beat.
Creak. Okay, okay.
And the wood's not treated and super hardened or anything. I mean, it's clearly meant to be a practice weapon that is not to do damage to people.
And I'd look over at Nikita, so she just wants me to hit her, and that's all that there is?
Nikita says, yes.
Okay.
Demonstrate your skill. Attempt to strike her.
Alrighty. I'll do that then. Okay. I can do this. Okay, just one hit. Come on. Okay. Got this for sure. And I'll go over and I guess swing back and wait and look at her and swing forward, kind of aiming low.
All right. So as you swing at her, keep in mind there's no runes on this, so it's probably one lower than your regular attack roll.
It is, yeah.
So make me your attack roll.
That is a 24.
Like 24. After all this wind up, right, as Buford swings down at her, swinging, well, you said kind of low?
Yeah, just kind of low, nearly at her, shins.
Yeah,
That's really low.
Really low.
She turns and steps back, bending down towards it with her left hand as you swing. I'm assuming Buford's right-handed. Reaching down with her left hand as you swing in at her. Twisting her hand and her arm around kind of with yours as you swing. Grasping the disc that is the surrogate handguard at the tip of this, and then turning around, taking the stick out of your hand, and then up along her forearm as she turns.
And my shield would reflexively pop up.
And then she takes it with her other hand and returns it back to that original stance she's been holding it, where she turns and hands it to, I'll say Varn. And then puts her hands together in front of her. And thanks for getting a translating. I'll say, Corey, thanks you for your demonstration of your skills. And then,
I really don't know if you understand what I do exactly.
and Nikita continues, a bit of a smile on her face. Do not worry, you have brought no shame. It was not expected you would be able to strike her.
Well, here now, woman.
Pull the hammer.
That's saying a bit much there, if I do say so myself. I mean, I guess, when
Now he's incensed.
Can I try it again?
This time for realsies?
women, or whatever. I'll tell you what, my wife would never. Okay, whatever.
So the twin leopards then both just do almost the bottom half of the palm gesture of their bow, just turning their palms from their sides outstretched to you, down. Their smile still on their face. And Varn speaks, which Nikita translates. Well, Varn is impressed by your displays of skill and your tales you have woven here today. She hopes that you enjoy your time in Akervel and that you are treated well and leave enriched.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to meet you.
It was an honor to meet you.
And Nikita would gesture back towards where you just walked into this circle. And so that is all. They feel they have come to know you much more in this brief interaction.
I'm glad I decided not to set the hut on fire.
That was probably for the best, yes. Yeah. I would not recommend that.
No.
But you have done well. Not much impresses the twin leopards. You carried yourselves with pride this day. Those families you spoke of, I am sure, would be impressed as well.
Bonnie doesn't get impressed by much, but
Neither does my mom.
yeah.
But as Nikita leads the group of you back out of this small area, not too long after the hunting party would return back to Akervel, making their way up the trees and getting a large series of levers and pulleys with woven vine ropes around out to lower a small cart down to the jungle floor to haul the carcasses of these boars up to the top. An elevator they definitely could have just used to get you up in the first place, but
Where's the fun in that?
Yeah.
but they did not. For, well, where's the fun in that?
For the
reasons,
walls.
largely. And as the boars are taken back, Galenor, the quick, curt dismissal, heading to go ready with the preparations. The five of you regroup here in Akervel with another hour, possibly two, before the feast begins. All that's left is for the boars to be cooked and readied.
Glad to see you guys weren't bored.
Yeah, Esvus, my man, how was that trip? And I'd be like, do you like my new hat? Because it is snazzy. And I'd walk over to Esvus and subtly, but not so subtly, poke around and make sure there aren't any holes in him or anything. Like look down his armor and like pull his side and pull his arm up.
I'm fine, really.
Oh, good. I wasn't, did nothing or anything, but I'm okay. Well, I like my new hat.
It looks quite striking. Where did you get
Well,
this?
I feel like Resme over there doesn't think I get laid enough, so she's just, pimping me out a bit.
Resme blushes a lot.
But this one's especially snazzy.
Well, it looks spectacular. I think good news. I think we made a favorable impression. Esvus performed admirably. I managed to tag along and not mess anything up. And as a result, we have a very luxurious feast ahead of us tonight.
The cat let me pet her. Everyone seemed really impressed about that.
The cat, the lion?
Well, yeah, I made friends with her.
You pet the lion?
Yeah, she was very pleased.
Just making sure you have both of your hands.
Yeah, don't worry, I was there too. But
You let her pet the lion?
it was
was
a
quite
dubious
entertaining.
decision, and
I'm sure you'd find it hilarious.
Oh, we also
Yeah.
met the elders, and I think we made a good impression.
I don't know about that. They're
2/3 of us made a good impression.
kind of strange.
Look, that's all still here.
Fair enough then. Did they say anything about our endeavors here? Or
Well, if they ask you to hit them with a stick, just hit them with the damn stick.
they asked you to hit them with a stick?
Yeah.
They tried to get me to light their entire hut on fire, but I wasn't gonna do
They
it.
seemed like very strange. Like, I don't know. If they had Esvus there, they probably just wanted them to shoot him in the head. Or something. So I really worry about these folks, actually.
They definitely need our help then to deal with these Cinderclaws.
Narrator, they would
Clearly,
have.
Leadership is...
But he would have gotten blunted arrows. But they would have.
Well, seeing as you've already spoken with him, then perhaps we don't. So then, Now what?
Yeah, it's a bit dangerous. I don't know if they know what they're getting into with you guys.
Well, if they had asked me to show my magical prowess, I probably would have just cast Fireball on myself and then healed it.
That's a bad
Resume
idea.
looks at you.
Please don't do
I'm
that.
joking.
I don't know if you are. That seems like
Would have cast Fireball, but somewhere over there.
you know this is a forest. We
Yes.
don't really want to be casting fireball.
It's a very wet forest.
Nah, it's a forest that they live in. Nah, I don't know if we want to be casting
It would be
fireball.
fine.
I think it wouldn't be fine.
It would be.
I agree with Resme.
Well, they didn't ask me, so it doesn't matter.
I brought them a whole bunch of food from Isker, so maybe you can help me bring it to where they're preparing the feast so they can use it?
Yes,
Oh.
the two of you, alone, together. I'm gonna go find someone to braid my hair.
I can braid your hair. You know,
Do not touch my hair.
I tried it. Remember that one time I tried it? It worked real well.
Yeah,
except
it
for
worked so well that Nareen nearly threw me out of the Breach Creek lumber because she was laughing too hard. I'm not letting you touch my head ever again.
well, only part of the hair fell out.
Ever again.
Come on, it wasn't so bad. It was just a couple hairs.
What did you tell him?
Pardon?
Why would we be braiding each other's hair?
I'm finding someone to braid my hair, and I'm just completely leave the party. Gone.
Nobody,
I'm gonna get out of
Cover
this.
hide.
I'm gonna get out of this armor too.
nobody touches these tresses.
Yeah, certainly not. I wouldn't know the first thing to do. But perhaps if we are to... some of the food that you brought could actually be a nice side dish for the feast. It would sort of be an introduction to Isker, I suppose, for these people. They probably have no idea how to prepare any of it.
I've got it.
But it's mostly fruit. The corn.
I've got it. I'm going to show them how to roast it.
Do you know how to cook?
Of course.
Oh, fair enough then. I'll leave you to it.
So, Esvus is going to remove his armor, get ideally less sweaty, and
Yes.
just end up in a bit of a less miserable situation entirely. Resme, you want to take the corn and the fruit that you brought
Yeah.
up to wherever the meal is being prepared. What about the rest of you? What are you guys doing for the next hour or two?
I was just going to kind of wander around and see if the kids want to learn the two-step.
At this point,
I'm gonna go watch that.
the original trepidation that Ekujae may have had for the outsiders arriving has been mitigated, if not removed entirely. And while kids are kids and are interested in things that are weird and different, most of their parents probably would not have wanted them to come hang out with the weird metal human. That said, you've all made pretty solid impressions to the clan so far, and even just the general attitudes of the people around you, how they look at you. They're not giving you as wide of a berth anymore. The Ekujae don't go to cross the street to walk down the other sidewalk when you come by. It's become much warmer over the course of the day. So that is absolutely something that you could go do fairly easily.
And we don't even have to speak the same language.
Not required, no. How about you, Dal'ren?
Perfect. He's going to go change into something a bit more appropriate for a social occasion as opposed to armor. At that point, he's actually going to... he'll try to go find either... I suppose Nikita would be a fine person to start with. It's been a while since he's come through here, and he's certainly never actually spoken to the Ekujae before, so he's going to do a bit of draconic research and just learn about their legends, learn about if any dragons in the area that may have influenced their history.
Dahak.
Yeah, aside from Dahak.
Hint.
Yeah,
The hawk is a dragon.
You have a good point. You know what? He's going to try to learn about that, because you know what? We might need to learn about Dahak.
So if you go find Nikita, it wouldn't be too hard, as she's just kind of making various preparations. She's not preparing the meat or the feast itself directly, but largely running errands and making sure things are in order across Ackerville. And she would answer you, Dal'ren, please. These are questions that I can answer after the feast. Once everything is through here, I will answer you and your friends every request. I will fill you in with all of the information that the Ekujae people possess.
Oh, thank you. I wasn't going to... The reason I soaked this out to sort of inquire on the side is because, when all of my compatriots get together and I start asking about specifically the focus of my research, I tend to go on, and they tend to be quite bored with it.
Well, if nothing else, you can always deflect that at my father. He never seems to ever gets bored of something other people find interesting. It kind of seems to just, I don't know, spread out to him. It's like water from one leaf to the next.
I will try to sit next to him at dinner, perhaps.
he would have no option. He would not dream of suffering the insult of sitting you anywhere other than at the head of the champions' tables. He will be with us.
Oh, champions table, so that sounds spectacular. Well, thank you.
It is in your honor, after all, that we host this feast.
Of course.
I admit, the group of you have inspired a lot of hope in the Ekujae. That you not only dealt with the Cinderclaws that came to Hunter's Gate, but you were able to return and come through here with such fire in your veins as to track them to their home. It is something we sorely need.
Of course. These Cinderclaws, they cause nothing but trouble, and we will do our best to see that they cease.
Trouble does not even begin to describe what the Cinderclaws have brought to these lands. And so I imagine, had they been given more opportunity, what they would have brought to yours as well.
They made that clear, at least.
But still, this is all talk dating away until after dinner. We have food to eat. We have revelry to enjoy. Do not worry, Dal'ren, relax.
Very well. I'll go take in the sights, and I'll leave you to your preparations.
Get out of my kitchen.
She's actually like chopping vegetables like I'm busy.
Hi, I'm doing something right now. So, after about an hour and a half of preparation, as the sun begins to set and the sky starts to darken a little, the feasts would begin. There seems to be not really a central location of this so much. This isn't a great Viking hall with tables laden with mead and the bounty that you hunted down earlier this day. This is simply an assortment of food. All kinds of fruits, nuts, berries, things that would be harvested throughout the jungle, and a wide array of fish from the rivers as well. Brought out onto platters, laying on no tables. Just spread what appears to be all throughout this main central platform of Akravel. And around all of this, the Ekujae from the other outlying platforms cross the bridges over to this one as well, as it swells in population. But even still, with what may be every single soul in Akravel clustered in 1/3 of the village, it's far from overcrowded. It's certainly much denser than it was previously. But food, drinks, all sorts are just common, almost laying throughout what would be their streets. Just the passageways between the huts around the outside of the platform and through the large open area in the middle, where your Dakara game had taken place earlier in the afternoon. Much of the bounty from the river boars being heaped there, with one of the carcasses seeming to have been sectioned into all sorts of various cuts and meats, and the other roasted almost entirely intact, left on a massive bed of fronds of various palms and huge spread leaves as a centerpiece in the middle of the ring amongst all of this. As the food starts to come and the music starts to play, fires, small torches lit, standing on long but very thin wooden posts, almost up above the heights of the huts, just casting their dancing lights across everything. All of Akravel seems to come together to revel in this. Renavo himself comes to fetch the group of you, to find wherever you would be at the time, to bring you towards the center of all of this. As he comes back, the champions of the hour! This feast is in your honor. You must come to the center. I heard that, surprisingly, not only did Genovo allow the two of you to come along on the hunt, you led the way in taking down these two boar.
He was most gracious to give us the opportunity.
Gracious, or hoping to give you... There was a saying.
Punking? Like what you would do with a
No, it was a merchant from up north saying, give enough of a coil of rope.
And you can hang yourself with it.
That was it. Hoping to let you loose to embarrass yourself in front of him and the rest of the hunting party, if I know him at all.
Well, thankfully it didn't work out that way.
Pay him no minds. He means no malice in his actions. He just was not opened up particularly well.
There's just a reason that you pick him to send far away from Malkervel on errands.
Oh no, you You mistake me. He is the best hunter in the leopard clan, bar none. His skills are unmatched. But he comes from a dark past. And one he owes largely to the hands of outsiders such as yourselves. I cannot really blame him for his distrust.
That's very
But you seem to
sad.
have made a surprising impression. He does not hate you. Much better than I would have expected.
That's awesome.
It's hard to hate Esvus. He's
No,
a real good guy.
it's-
Well, come. There is much feasting, much meat, much fruit, wine of all kinds, from all the palms of the jungle to your tastes. Come!
I look forward to it. Thank
Ooh,
you.
this is going to be so much fun.
Yay.
Oh, come on,
So
Esvus.
there's some swines to drink.
I brought you some ale from home.
This is my happy face.
That is kind of his happy face, actually.
Oh, boy.
You'll see like a 10-degree angle change on the
No,
sides
his
of the
face
mouth.
never moves. That's his happy face.
One of these days, I'm going to get you to giggle when you're not drugged.
Might require magic.
Well, you know.
So, assuming you all follow,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
the group of you engage in what looks to be a fantastic night of food, drink, and revelry. Where it comes to the surface that you're unclear entirely how much Nikita has been messing with you, as both her and her father seem to not be the most serious people on the planet. They absolutely have alcohol. They have a wide variety of palm wines. And while she wasn't wrong about getting the idea across, there is no head table or anything. It's all kind of a widespread thing. But Renavo and her do very much want you near the middle, near the heart of all of this.
Would you say that our group hogged all the attention?
Dude, I already did the boar thing. You're like at least 10
I'm just
minutes too
running with
late.
it.
You can't just keep
It's
using
dinner
the same
time.
pun. It's illegal.
Those were 3 different puns.
Oh. So,
I love making you.
I take
give me a
6
hero
second
point.
damage.
I don't have one.
Dang it. What? You should have one. You got given one.
I don't
Did
have
you use it?
No.
Did I
It's
not?
invisible.
I gave you
I
one.
cast invisibility on it.
Rocks fall for the tree. Bird dies instantly. There's nothing anyone can do. Night is tinged with tragedy.
What a tragedy.
But
It was the hawk.
you are largely the center of attention here, as of course this is in your honor, although many of the Ekujae will absolutely just take in the opportunity to have a fantastic feast and eat a bunch of nice food and enjoy themselves. You have clearly made a mark on these people. Whereas first you camp the trees to a bunch of suspicious faces and wide berths. People all throughout the tribe of all ages are coming to meet with you, coming to attempt to, they can't really introduce themselves to you, but just to come near. Nikita, for some time, hangs out around trying to play translator, but
Gives up.
gives up at some point and wants to go off and enjoy the feast for herself for some amount.
We'll try to handle it in Elven if we can.
And you
translate.
you do also have she speaks Mongi as well, so Resme can speak in and assist you with that.
And as they get drunker, I can make it even more funny when I mistranslate purposefully some of the things they say to make the situations even more hilarious.
You know,
And I've been.
normal functioning player character thing.
Worst diplomat.
Sorry, we're all familiar with elven diplomacy.
That's true.
So-
That's
Oh,
true.
no. So I've been picking up on a little bit of Mwangi as well.
Oh, really?
And not fully understanding it, but I'm about it at the point that you were before we came through the portal.
Oh.
You were talking with Renali.
Yep, just by listening and going over it in my head and practicing on my own a little bit, I'm starting to pick it up as well.
I know. Ilumbo.
Yep.
I learned a word today. So did Genovo. All right, Gelinor. I don't like you saying Genovo. So did Gelinor. Genovo is like mashing their names together. Renavo and Gelinor and end up with Genovo.
Nah, he
It's
just-
the ship. Genovo's the name of the ship.
He sounds like an
yeah.
Italian gangster.
It does kind of sound like an Italian gangster. About an hour or so into the feasting, when the sun is well and truly set, and there's no further light from the sky other than the small pinpoints of the stars spread out above you, the group of you would be approached by who 3 of you recognize as Valia, who was dressed exactly how she had been earlier this morning. And among the dancing and the revelry of the Ekujae, whatever it is you are doing, stands out even worse than she did previously, as she still holds herself absolutely upright, rapier and book on her hip, hands folded in front of her as she approaches and again gives a deep bow to the party. My apologies for the intrusion of the two of you I've not had the pleasure of introducing. I am Lady Valia Argans Asimov.
Ah, Lady Valia, you forgive me for saying so, you seem rather out of place here.
Says the desert elf.
I am also out of place. This is true. Not judgment, just surprise.
Does seem that the group of us all have found our way here through whatever venues as outsiders to the Ekujae peoples in the city of Akravel, indeed. But my apologies, I know not by what name or title to address you.
Pardon me. Dal'ren Kaisar.
And again, I wish not to deprive you of any earned honors should you have not seen fit to mention them. And I mean no offense, but...
Certainly. We have accumulated a small handful, but they only mean anything in a town halfway across the world, so I wouldn't trouble you with them.
So,
We'll have to make our own honors here.
Well, Sir Kaisar Surprise is a sufficient acknowledgement.
I'm
Lord
sorry.
Kaisar.
No. Dal'ren is my given name. Kaisar, that's my father's name, Ka, son of Isar. Dal'ren is fine. An honorific you may append if you wish, but certainly I'm no highborn. I'm not worthy of it.
Then I apologize again. I am unfortunately fairly unfamiliar with the naming structure of the elves. Excuse me for one moment. And pulls the book up for him.
At this point, you're going to get a message in your head that said, I am so sorry I didn't warn you, but I don't think there's any way to warn anyone about her. She is like the ultimate socialite. No matter what you say, she's going to apologize, and she's going to try to not offend you. Just go with it.
Oh no, please don't not offend me.
She's kind of tapping through this. My guide here, unfortunately, appears to be woefully incomplete and inadequate as the favors and titles of Elvenkind are concerned. So.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. A guidebook. Yes, I'm not from this area. My clan hails from Osirian, although I came from Isker.
I do apologize if I had trailed off there poorly. I did not mean to indicate the end of my thought.
Not a problem at all. Please.
Master Dal'ren is a dragon scholar of some repute.
Master Dal'ren is the proper title then.
I'm a young elf. He is my elder by many, many decades. It is appropriate for me to call him Master because he is my senior.
Interesting. So, as far as etiquette is concerned, then the Elvenkind and their titles seem to be quite the inverse of Taldan society, where the master would be a child, the youngest of the house.
No.
More of an apprenticeship, sort of a...
Kind of. He has traveled to many places. He's over 100 years old, and I barely have 20 years. It is appropriate that I should respect his education and his many years of exploration and learning.
I think she understands the concept, but...
I apologize,
yes,
Master
the labels.
Dal'ren. I don't believe that he was done talking.
So it seems.
He is a sometimes mentor of mine, so I call him Master Dal'ren.
Fair. And I would not wish to deprive him of any of his earned honor with all of these years, which in fact far outstrip my own. Master Dal'ren it is then. And yourself, I don't believe we've been properly introduced either.
Told you so.
Esvus Thar.
As-
Just Esvus.
Yeah, I'm not helping you with this one.
I apologize then.
Stop
Just
apologizing. I really do not care.
Oh my god.
one
You're
moment, please.
Emergency.
Sweat.
I'm not someone that's going to be easily offended, and I would rather you be comfortable around me. Besides, honorifics and titles don't mean anything when you're 6 feet under the dirt.
Oh boy.
And she just slowly kind of closes the book and most shakily puts it back on her hip. Well, as this may very well be the case, Sir Esvus, you are not mistaken, these etiquettes and structures have been developed for a reason, to simplify introductions as such, so that no party offends another when statuses may be unknown.
Well, you've done a great job here, and none of us are offended. Isn't that right?
It also keeps you from getting bored at parties.
Well, certainly thank you for the proper introduction. But please, now that we've gotten that out of the way, what can we do for you?
Yes. Well, your compatriot here, Miss Glodherman, had invited me along on whatever expeditions you may partake in the journey. I understand that the group of you would all come here together via the Ayudara of Hunter's Gate, as the Ekujae call it. And I have traveled far from Taldor on a chartered ship, fortunately, at the will of Lord Thaddeus Stoutmore, to accompany him on this journey at least as far as the Mwangi Expanse, in order to research this discovery myself.
Fascinating. So how did knowledge of the Ayudara come to you and Lord Stoutmore, was it?
Lord Thaddeus Stoutmore, yes.
Lord Thaddeus Stoutmore, yes, of course. It seems that the Ayudara are drawing a great deal of attention recently from all sorts.
There's 2 of them.
Well, you see, that's largely the problem we find at hand, is that the studies and scholarly isles of Apara seem greatly lacking on much of the information about older Ayudara. There is very little known about this Ulstana's ring, or how it functions, though it is apparently in some way quite different from those of the modern day that elven kind, I believe, still use in places like Osirian and Keonan to connect various parts of the societies. And as, well, any scholar in any town of Taldor or throughout the Empire would tell you, of course, there is no knowledge that should be left unearthed.
I can understand the sentiment, I suppose. Well, you certainly come to it at an interesting time, given that the Hunter's Gate seems to be the center of a bit of a military struggle among a couple of factions in this area.
It is as I had been informed as well, Master Dal'ren. The Ekujae people seem to be having some difficulty with these Cinderclaw cultists, which, if I am to understand the purpose of tonight's revelry, that is something that you and your companions here have already triumphed over.
Well, not triumphed per se, but we've made good progress. The Ekujae tribe has been at war with the Cinderclaws for some time, and the Cinderclaws seized Hunter's Gate and invaded our homeland. We saw them off and have come here to make sure that doesn't happen again. Unfortunately, it seems their numbers are higher than we thought at first.
And it does seem as such. They had asked me upon my arrival if there's any way I could assist them, but I do not wish to trot upon their plans or their machinations. They will do much better at describing a situation for themselves, I'm sure. They're far more experienced in it. And I'd like to apologize again, Sir Esvus. I mean not to take too much of your time. The evening's feasts and revelry, of course, are held in your honor, and if you would rather be elsewhere, do not allow me to hold you any longer than you wish.
I have to be here.
It's almost like they're speaking another language.
Will you tell me more about Sir Strathmore?
So, Stoutmore.
Stoutmore.
Lord Stoutmore.
What is his particular specialty?
Well, Lord Thaddeus Stoutmore, back in Taldor, is quite a renowned archaeologist. I will admit, I was not terribly familiar with him, as I'm not from the local area myself. Casmere is somewhere I've rarely visited. But I needed passage, and I was searching for a charter ship, and his was one of the few that was heading this far out of the inner sea. And oddly enough, he seemed to be aimed much the same direction, towards Akravel and the western heart of the Mwangi jungle. But Lord Thaddeus Stoutmore's pedigree and, well, all that he has accomplished, his long list of accoutrements, I'm sure he would be much more worthy and hoping to recount to you himself should we meet him later.
So the two of you decided to embark upon a journey to search for the Ayudara independently?
Oh no, you mistake me. Lord Thaddeus Stoutmore has no interest in the Ayudara, the Elven Gates. He is here on entirely unrelated business, but fortunately for myself, does happen to be in the same general region, or I may have had difficulty getting here.
I see. Huh.
And he just went off into the forest by himself?
Well, not alone, of course. He has his entire team.
Oh, good. Okay, now just make sure here, because, I don't know, if we're down one man.
He has, I believe, about a half dozen men-at-arms, assistants, and scribes to join him in his adventures to both chronicle his journeys that he wishes to submit to the Pathfinder Society someday, as well as some of the more noteworthy publications of Taldor, and beyond, I would imagine.
It may be worthy to meet him if he has in publication. It's something I'm a bit of a scholar myself, and I hope to publish a work someday.
Well, then, perhaps he could be a very valuable peer.
Perhaps we'll run into each other.
I must admit that I, again, know him precious little, and he owes me no favors. I simply paid passage on his ship over here, so our introduction will be inadequate at best.
I see. You speak as though you came here by yourself. Do you not have a retinue?
Do not know. I came here alone to seek these jungles. I don't have many that I could call upon that would join me in such a far-flung journey, and with the coin to charter a ship here, very little to hire hands beyond that.
Are you at all skilled in navigating the jungle by yourself? You've made it quite far, if I understand where exactly we are here.
Until we had arrived in Acrabel, I had tagged along with Lord Thaddeus Stoutmore's adventuring party, and they had assisted me in coming quite this far, although he seemed to have no particular interest in meeting the Ekujae people themselves. I attempted to foray out into the jungle myself after the twin leopards had spoke with me, and I had been asked via their linguist to assist them in exploring some of the jungles to the southeast of here, as, again, I do not want to take away their explanations, nor do I wish to sully them with my lack of understanding and the small amount of knowledge that I possess, but it became very quickly apparent that I am in no way prepared to explore the jungles alone. Now, fortunately, the Ekujae have been more than hospitable, and have been amenable to supplying me with at least food and water and small bits with which to make camp. I didn't come entirely unprepared. But the jungle is more challenging than I had imagined.
I see.
I was raised with more than enough of the ability and the knowledge to defend myself, but I find that none of my skill at swordplay translates to exploring swamps and massive forests.
Perhaps we should have a talk about how properly to budget for an expedition.
Well, I found myself with little choice. I could either leave this knowledge unfound, or I could invest, as was applicable.
Now that I've seen her interact for some time and under different circumstances with different people, can I see if I've developed a little bit more of a social read on her?
Well, the way that she carries herself at the moment seems to be exactly Talden high society.
Mm-hmm.
It is just the most mainline vanilla kind of nobility that exists, really. It's very similar throughout. It'd be the same as Iskir, really. If you went down to Eladir in the capital, the nobility there would act much the same way. The etiquette's largely identical. Even Cheliax isn't that much different.
Right, but this woman is obsessed with etiquette. That leads me to believe that there is something amok with her, or maybe something in her past that has made her that obsessed.
You can give me a perception check, I suppose. Try and take a bit of a better read here.
It's hidden. Here's the dice box.
That's gonna be a 26.
Oh, with a 26, there is some socialites in the higher circles who have so much money they have not a single concern in the world do put a whole lot of weight on these pins and tiny nitpicks of etiquette. But it's more for a sense of power and to separate themselves from the lowly peasants beneath them working the farms, etc., than it is out of any kind of joy they glean from it, really, other than it just makes them different and their heads better. Valia's attachment to it seems to be very different.
Yeah, she's not that wealthy.
Yeah, she's not using this to lord over people. She's clearly not wealthy. She almost clings to it as something that is just known, something that is more comfortable to her, it seems, and something that, I guess, kind of in a similar vein, she has some degree of control over.
Maybe she didn't come from money, but maybe she was apprenticed or a clerk and she kind of climbed up in society a little bit, but she's kind of not really anywhere, and so she takes comfort in the idea of knowing where she stands.
Maybe. I mean, you are just trying to kind of pick up reads on her as she talks. It's just a general gauge of her personality and what makes her who she is, and that's
about what I got.
that's about what comes across to you, yeah.
Okay.
But as they are talking, also, another figure approaches, one that you most certainly recognize.
Kill me.
Usually Renali.
Oh.
Now much more cleaned up. Her hair brought back into a thick braid and a separate second wider ponytail along that, and dressed up in an outfit much like the rest of the Ekujae here, looking dramatically refreshed than you having found her in the caves beneath Breach Hill, and now with access back to her homeland and her own things, much more in her element. And she approaches with a smile, seeing the group of you, and, well, what looks like just another one of your friends as far as she can tell, because the 6 of you are the only not Ekujae here other than her. But she is also, while she blends in much better here, Renali is visibly pretty distinct from the rest of the Ekujae, mostly in the fact that she is a human woman, is a good bit smaller, and does dress and carry herself a little bit differently. But she approaches, raising one hand, doing the one-handed gesture, and calls out, "I was hoping I would find you all here. I had heard that the Ekujae were putting on an entire feast to honor the group of you coming through the portal. What you did with the Cinderclaws, how you helped me."
Oh, it's very good to see you, Renali. You look so refreshed.
There's only been a few hours, but still, I feel as if it has been years.
I don't blame you. Being stuck in those caves is none too fun.
And Valia, still standing there, very upright, hands folded in front of her, turns and bows to Renali with uprising. "Apologies, I don't believe we've been properly introduced. I am Lady Valia Argans Asimov." And Renali just kind of looks at her. I am Renali. Is this another one of your friends?
She is a new acquaintance of ours from Taldor. She also comes here to study the gates.
And Valia nods slightly. I don't hail from Taldor originally. It's not my homeland by any stretch of the imagination. It's simply why I was able to charter a ship. But thank you for the introduction, Miss Resme. I appreciate it. Miss Calatterman, I apologize.
It's completely all right. This is Miss Renali. She is the young lady that we rescued, who had gotten trapped in Isker behind the gates. We became friends.
And Renali just looks kind of confused.
She is something of a...
I think I need to spend another couple months learning Tal'Dain before I can keep up with this one.
Don't even try, she says in Mwangi.
And as you switch languages, Valia kind of resighs a bit. Well, I was unaware that you had a prior engagement. I've taken enough of your time. Miss Renali, it's been a pleasure to make your acquaintance. And she bows deeply as well. And hopefully, after the evening's festivities, if the Ekujae see fit to give you more information as to their plight and to the state of the jungle and Cinderclaws, we can assist each other, foraying forward into the unknown.
We look forward to working with you.
So where are you heading now?
Across the bridges on the northern platform here, I have found a hut that there are a few that are not further occupied that their linguist has escorted me to and is graciously allowing me to stay there.
Well, have you eaten?
I appreciate your concern.
But have you?
I am...
Because, the corn's real good, and it's from up north, and it's cooked. I mean, they cooked it real good. It's nice and sweet, and they've also got some real good pork. And
Renali points at Buford. They make very good corn. It is something different. We have none here.
Yeah, I mean, have you tried any of this stuff here?
And he looks back and forth. I was getting a little wider. I'm sorry, I must take my leave for the evening. It's gotten late enough, and I'll need to make preparations for this journey.
I can't have you going hungry around here.
Again...
Now look here, I'll just come get you a plate here. Come with me here.
She's like, no, it is very much okay, Sir Buford. I must politely decline.
What, are you a vegetarian?
Well, the dietary preferences of the situation are.
Well, I'm not holding it against you. I'm sure there's lots of vegetables around here too. Now look here. Now over here, some vegetables.
Please excuse me, one moment. And she pulls the book out and holds it up in front of her face and starts turning pages.
Looking at her fingers, any rings or
Well, she
anything
has
that
leather
she's
gloves
wearing?
on her hands,
Oh,
so
okay.
you can't see any sort of jewelry or anything.
Oh, okay.
She is wearing this fine and finely made but fairly thin breastplate with very light chainmail running down almost
No
past her elbows.
sigils or anything on it?
There are no visible crest or symbols
Okay.
on her armor or anything.
Does this like really lightweight breastplate and chain look functional? Like, would this
It looks
actually
functional.
stop a blow?
It looks expensive.
I mean, it is functional. It's fine. It would be about as effective as just light chainmail alone. It's not as protective as a traditional like heavy breastplate.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's certainly better than nothing. It would do more than leathers.
This woman is so weird.
And Renali looks to give her. What is she doing?
I don't suppose, and forgive me if I'm being rude, but do you have a betrothed back where you come from?
And Valia stops turning pages for a second. The book off in front of her face. I ask that you give me a moment to consult my guide.
Because
Starts flicking fists.
if you're betrothed, it wouldn't be appropriate for you to be alone with Buford. You would need, you would most certainly
I'll
need.
have you know I'm married. Gosh, woman, I cannot believe you would insinuate
That's
such a
girl
thing.
talking,
I am
Renali
just
turns to her.
offended.
I am confused. What is happening?
Okay,
I think there's
resume.
something in the corn.
Resume, I cannot believe you just said that. Okay, come here, woman. I'm just gonna get you some food. And I'm gonna, as she's reading her book, I'm gonna stand behind her and like steer her over towards food sections.
Are you reaching towards Valia? Like you're grabbing Valia,
Yeah.
right? Not this isn't Resume. This is actually Valia.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
This might be a shove too. I'm not sure.
I'm standing behind and shepherding
So
her.
as you reach out and touch her, you spook her. She startles, dropping the book on the ground, and immediately pulling her rapier out and turning back to face you with it held directly in front of her. Sir Buford, on the honor of my family, I must insist you not lay hands on me, please.
Here now, lassie. Let me get your book here. You can't just go dropping books around. I hear they're very valuable. I'm gonna go pick up her book. Now, if you want this book back
Slowly swipes the
here,
rapier.
you're gonna have to
She-
come get it over next to the food tables.
We don't have tables.
The food floors. I'll wave the little book.
Resume
You better
is
come
actually
along, darling.
totally at a loss as to what to even do socially
So is
in this
Valia.
situation.
Valia, she steals her rapier, but she has her hand on the hilt still. And is
Buford?
looking at Buford and down to the book into Buford. And she has no idea how to react. She's completely frozen.
I'm like,
At this point, I'm just gonna put enough food in my mouth that no one can ask me questions.
Buford means you no harm. Where he comes from, this is called hospitality. It's part of his culture.
it'll be a lot easier if you get some food too.
If he doesn't feed you, he's going to feel particularly uncomfortable.
I understand the attempt to be hospitable, Miss Gladderman and Sir Buford, and I appreciate the effort. But this is a far cry from that I am accustomed to, and I must insist. Without my manual, I know not how to properly respond.
I think you need to give her her book back or she's going to have an apoplexy.
I don't know what that means.
A really bad attack. Like
Gonna have an attack.
get sick. Not good. Throw up on you.
Hey, from having her book? Okay, well, I mean, I didn't realize books were so weird. Like, this is
Take
dangerous.
the book, hand it back to her.
She would take the book back and still standing very straight, holding the book in both hands in front of her instead of putting it back in her belt.
Is there a section in the manual for if the manual is taken?
And is still kind of breathing heavily. It's a bit wild.
Look, she's practically faint with how much. She clearly has not been getting nutrition. I'm gonna go get her a plate. You guys make sure she stays here. I'm gonna go walk off and get her a plate.
As soon as Buford leaves, if you want to escape, you need to leave. You're excused. No rudeness
I
or...
appreciate your kindness, Miss Gladderman, but Sir Buford seems far from excusing me, and I can't simply leave while his back is turned.
I suppose.
Sure you can. Watch this. And I'm just gonna roll a stealth check and just leave.
Just crouch down and go invisible.
Trying to hide in the crowd. Assassin's Creed stealth.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right, sure.
Just get a platter, put it in front of his face.
23.
No, you turn into the crowd and in an instant. You can't see me. Is suddenly gone.
I can see you. It's okay. You
Spectacularly, this pale white forlorn elf disappearing into the groups of dancing Ekujae.
Oh, I've got it. Buford is my employee. As such, you do not owe your courtesy to me as he is here on my behalf, and I give you my explicit permission to go back to your room.
Deception check.
Do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
One.
Do a 1.
Oh, that's like a 17.
That's going to be a 28.
The 28, there, she's more than willing to believe you as well. So she nods quickly, still clutching your book. Well then, Miss Clouderman, thank you very much. And Master Dal'ren, Sir Ashbloom, it's been a pleasure again to meet you.
Good evening.
Look forward to our adventures, and wish you all the best. Enjoy your meals. And turns gone.
This is as close to running as you
She
can get.
does not run. She refuses to break code enough to run, but she is walking with haste and with purpose.
We call this range walking.
Almost straight-legged, strides as long as possible, power walking back towards the bridge to the northern platform, as far away as she can get, before she stops. And you see her turn back around and stride back towards the group as fast as possible. And she gets back and repeats quickly, apologies, one more time. Miss Rinaldi, it's been a pleasure to make your acquaintance as well. And turns back around to Buford
Oh, did I get back with
with a
food?
bunch of food. It would not be hard to get.
Oh,
It's
good.
right there.
Well, here you go, ma'am. Now, picked you out a really good selection. Now, I didn't know what kind of flavor, if you were more of like the sweet or kind of the savory type. But here you go. Here's a good plate of food over here.
So, Sir Buford, thank you. I have spoken with your employer, and it sounds you have much to attend to. I as well. I wish you a pleasant evening. And turns
Don't forget your plate.
and does not take it and leaves as fast as physically possible.
I think that lady is a bit odd in the head. She seems to get weird ideas.
Can I?
She is
Is
terribly unprepared for this
Okay?
entire thing. She's traveled halfway across the world with no preparation,
And she's
no budget, and she's just determined to stride off into the jungle on her own.
Can
Well,
I
she's gonna starve to death is what she's gonna do. Look how
be
skinny
really
she
honest
is.
with you? I feel like she's. How would my mother say this? I feel as if she has been taken advantage of in some way in the past, and she may be a bit damaged because of it.
I think you're writing stories to make her mannerisms excuse themselves. It seems that she's simply foolish and impatient.
No,
Perhaps not prepared for this environment.
She does seem very odd.
when you are that focused on etiquette and your position in the world and where you are, and you take that much comfort in it, it's because you feel uncomfortable with who you are, because you don't know who you are. And she's not from Taldane, and she won't reveal any information about herself, and she was very uncomfortable with physical contact.
And I understand that perhaps she has some tragedy in her backline, in her life, but this is someone we know nothing about, who appears to not handle herself well, is not prepared to interact with other people, and is not prepared for a journey through the jungle. And now
We're
she
gonna
seems
babysit
to
her.
think that she's coming along with us into a war zone.
Well, we'll have to see what they say, and if we tell her she can't come, she's certainly not going to force herself on us. That would be far too rude.
It seems for her own good she should stay put. She seems woefully unprepared for any of this.
I'm kind of like-minded with Dal'ren. That lady, that girl, if I didn't know what she looked like, I'd think she was maybe like 12 years old, maybe one of the noble's kids.
I don't know.
A noble's kid would at least have a budget.
How did another one of your people find their way to
Start snacking on the food.
Agravel. She did not come through with us, and you did not seem to know her.
She used a boat and she walked.
I meant to ask, I know it'd be a really, really high difficulty, but have I ever heard of Lord Stoutmore?
That's a society.
Yeah.
Are you at least expert?
Yeah. Oh, expert? No, I'm just trained.
Then I would say no.
Okay,
You
that's fine.
probably have not heard of that individual person.
Okay, that's totally fine. She came over with some sort of scholar. She bought passage on his boat. She seems to have some resources. She's not totally without. And I mean, if you look at what she's wearing and her armor, she certainly doesn't appear to be financially bereft, if not wealthy. She's somewhere in the middle.
That's all well and good for her station, I suppose, but ultimately, is this someone that we would feel comfortable guarding us while we slept?
Well, we can't very well leave her here forever.
Well,
Why
we can
not?
certainly leave her here until
And you
the
hear
war
a
dies
small
down.
voice that you would recognize from one of the kids earlier. As three children approach the group of you. One of them with the shirt pulled up and a bunch of something in it, food probably. But they're all, the youngest of them, that kid looks like he's probably 7, 8 years old. The other two are a little bit older. No one's busted double digits hard here. But as they approach, they ask Buford and Wangi, which you or Renali would be able to understand. We have questions about the northern lands. We have heard many things. Can we talk to you, heroes from the portal?
Of course. Let's sit down.
And you come sit down, and
I'll translate.
The youngest kid, back with the shirt, reaches in there and pulls up what looks like a little orange shriveled pepper, and says, "We heard northern folk cannot eat anything spicy."
I don't know where you heard that from, boy, but that's way off.
You're about to get some serious entertainment.
And the one in the front had spoken first, with a big smile on his face. He taught us to do his dance. We have been growing these peppers for many months. They're the brightest and the hottest in all of the jungle.
Do you want to see him do another dance?
There ain't nothing that I can't eat. There ain't never been no spicy that's
translating
been
what
too
Buford said?
spicy.
Nope.
Okay.
I will say, Buford likes spicy food. I think this is going to work out famously.
And the little kid that has his shirt up with the peppers in it. I think we can eat more peppers than he can.
I have no doubt, but we have to prove it. It's a contest, Buford. They challenge you to an eating contest with the peppers.
3 Ekujae children have challenged you to a pepper eating contest.
Well, I tell you what, boy, I'm going to eat you out of house and home.
I'm going to eat popcorn while I watch this. Literally.
So as he lets go of his shirt and just dumps a heap of red, orange, yellow, and some almost colorless white peppers of various lengths and shapes onto the ground,
You eat a
starts
white one, you die. sorting
them into little piles. Who wishes? Is it just Buford Burr?
What's spicy?
Oh,
He had too much salt on his food once.
Yeah.
That was kind of rough.
Yeah,
But
some white bread was pretty hot.
yeah.
so
There is absolutely no way they could possibly get seriously injured from this. This is just going to be too good. I can't stop it.
Is there a table for ulcers?
so
There's
is
about
it
to
just Buford and Rur that are going to be accepting the challenge here?
Jump in. All right. All right. I'll go along. We have to play along. This is great.
Darwin's in.
All right,
I
I'm in.
believe.
Darn, you can take fire better than anyone I've ever seen.
You have a point, actually. I don't know if it translates to this, but we're about to find out.
Okay, hero points. Let's go.
So the smallest child sorting the peppers is just there to sort the peppers and watch. The two a little bit older ones are the two that are going to participate. So there's going to be 5 of you here in this. You're welcome to show back up from your lurking if you wish to participate in the pepper eating contest, Esvus.
I'm actually going to shout out in Mwangi. The foreigners are about to eat the hottest peppers you have. You really don't want to miss this.
Esvus absolutely was just proving a point that he could just like, oh yeah, you can disappear. Boom, it just disappears. And then just kind of just comes back like, what are we doing?
Peppers.
Oh, sure.
So, the first they offer you here is the shriveled orange pepper the child had pulled out in the first place. And he pulls 5 of them out from his little stack and puts them one in front of everybody.
I'm not
6.
doing this.
And 6. Yeah, I guess there's 4 of you playing. 6 peppers in front of everybody. And the 2 kids pick up theirs and hold it up in front of their face. Giant grins on their faces. And then Mwangi just say, ready?
Ready?
I'm ready.
Ready.
And they just chomp down and eat the entire pepper whole, and I need everybody to make a fortitude save.
All right, let's do it. 20.
13.
You wipe it, it's spicy for you.
I'm assuming that fails, right?
It absolutely fails.
All right, so halfling luck.
Here
Your
we
pepper
go
suck you
again.
than that.
My pepper doesn't have any seeds in it, apparently. Natural 20.
It doesn't. It doesn't have any seeds in it.
That's,
All right.
that's
29.
29.
24.
24.
31.
So all of you eat it, and it's pretty hot. But I mean, realistically, this would be about the upper band of like peppers that you would actually have up in Breach Hill. It's not terribly spicy. It's like a habanero. It's pretty hot. It burns a lot.
Man, this thing's like a clementine. I don't even know what they're talking about.
Makes you sweat a little bit, but it's nothing terrible.
Is there supposed to?
I'm already
am I supposed to
sweaty.
taste something?
The 2 children chomp down on this, absolutely unfazed. As the smallest kid watches, they said they couldn't eat the peppers! And they give us the yellow ones! And they put out the next round of peppers. Yellow, smoother, a bit longer, a bit chunkier, about 1.5 inches long. As they haul them out. Ready?
Ready?
Let's do it.
Fortitude saves.
19.
25.
18.
I'm using one of Deadly Doll's hero points.
Oh no, it's the dance
What's
again.
that put you to? 2?
Puts me down to 1.
Oh, down to 1. I already hit you. Okay.
Consumes our hero points.
There we go.
We got
26.
26, 18,
25.
25.
19.
19. Buford, this is a bit hotter. This one's a bit spicier, and as he bites on that, both Buford and the middle child, they can't do it. They're having some trouble. So you are going to need to try to keep your composure here to attempt to recover from the sicken check.
Okay.
So you can re-attempt the fortitude save to recover, because this pepper is currently besting you.
Okay, I'll reattempt the fortitude. We changed dice. So. That's better. That is a 26.
So you're kind of managing to tamp the flames in your mouth a little bit, but you also kind of got to show that it's not getting to you. So I also need you to make a deception check, because you can't do this by going, it gets better. You have to hold. You have to maintain your face here.
I'm also starting. There's only a couple tears running down my face here with a good old 7.
That's gonna fail. So you're unable to stabilize yourself. Try to
But like tears are just running down.
try to recover from the sicken again. Get another fortitude save.
Okay. That's not as good. That is a 18.
It's getting worse. Try another fortitude save.
We're getting worse. Okay,
that
so that
pile
is
over
a 17.
But a 17, it is only getting hotter as you try to
I'm like a clementine. It's like a clementine.
The air is only making it worse. It's burning harder and hotter.
Basically a carrot over here. Are you sure these are the right peppers?
You're pretty sure you're dying. And you are out. What happens? You're out. You can't handle this one.
I mean, that's what I was saying.
No, that's
I'll give Buford some honey, and I'll tell him to line his mouth with it.
face red, tears streaming down his face, maintaining that he's fine. Buford clearly can't
What are
handle
you
this.
guys talking about?
The middle child gets down and just starts licking the wood of the platform.
I'm gonna give him. I'm gonna take a swab of honey and open his mouth like.
This is the best.
And as he's just curled up on the ground there, panting,
I'm sitting next to him, petting his head with tears still leaking out, petting him as I also.
Another kid, a little older, sweating a bit for several reasons.
Round 3.
Calls back the little kid, down once! And he picks up a red pepper. Big, fat, round, almost like a cherry tomato. This one's a mouthful. As you pick them up, hold them in front of yourself. Ready? You bite down this one, it pops in your mouth. A spray of liquid. And I'm gonna need a further fortitude save. Ver.
30.
How did you do? What did you?
It's just not spicy. I'm sorry.
No, I'm telling you what it is.
He burned all the skin out of his mouth a long time
what
ago.
happened
It's
is-
part of a Saturday Night Fire holy ritual.
No, this is literally like
I'm a halfling. I'm immune to capsaicin.
He doesn't believe it's hot, and so it isn't.
Halflings are like birds.
Yeah,
Capsaicin doesn't affect them.
it doesn't.
Esvus,
23.
you're good. Dal'ren,
21.
you are sickened.
Oh.
21's not gonna do it. Dal'ren's starting to burn out a bit. The older of the kids is sitting there steadying himself, a look of extreme focus on his face as he holds his expression together. Sweat starting to pour down the sides of his face. You're gonna need to attempt to recover from that sickened condition.
I'm gonna nudge the kid while just.
Let's see. That's a 22.
22? Starting to get a handle, and I'm gonna need a deception check.
Deception check. Oh, I am so good at
It's
deceiving.
the same DC.
It's a 10.
Not holding.
All right, I have my trump card.
Okay.
Lightning crackles up, and I use Shake It Off.
Yes!
Oh. It works. I can't believe it, but it works.
I ain't losing. My enemy are these peppers, and I shall not stop raging until they're done.
So you rage, and you shake it off.
Oh my god.
With this fire burning in your mouth, you throw off that one, but you're unable to keep your rage going as it starts to subside a bit, and fatigue sets on as they hand you the fourth set of peppers.
Uh-oh.
Tiny, maybe a centimeter,
Oh, that's not gonna be good.
like a chocolate chip, a little white bulb.
This is gonna.
If I
They
have
swallow it
not in front.
whole, I could put off the effects.
Until your stomach takes care of it. And then
But
you
later
just die.
tonight,
Put off
And the little kid is crying again. The little hairy thing doesn't even sweat. It's like bird. They can taste spice. You lied to me. The kid says, and grabs the peppers. They hold him up. Ready? And bites down on it. Give me your fortitude saves.
No, session reroll. 'Cause that's a 4.
Hero
You used the
point.
hero point before the session reroll.
No, I still have
Oh
the
yeah, I
hero
thought you
point.
used. No, you halfling luck. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Hero point.
And now, the hero point, because that's a 7. And I refuse to lose.
Hold on. So what'd you, Dal'ren's going down to 0, and Rizal, you're both going down to 0.
Yeah. 30.
No, that was Destronet,
Are you
sorry.
kidding me?
That's another 19. I rolled a 20, a 19, and a 19.
A 30.
That's
Yeah.
a 30.
Esvus,
20.
I'm telling you, it's solipsism.
25.
Rur, and Dal'ren. Feel like Resme just cast fireball in your mouth.
I did.
You try to swallow the. Are you trying to swallow the thing whole? You going with that strategy? You just
No,
pop
no,
the
no,
thing
no,
up?
no, no. I'm not going to die in the middle of the night.
You bite,
Later in the bushes,
you
you'll
bite this little
know.
thing, and you're pretty sure scar tissue is actively forming inside your mouth. You don't know if you'll ever taste again. There's no point in eating for the rest of the feast. But you hold. The eldest of the children sits there, his face contorted with rage, soaked in sweat and tears both running down his face as he tries so hard to maintain his composure. Oh, God damn it! That's literally rolling around on the floor, screaming in agony. Some of the other adults now start to kind of come around, chuckling a bit. This is how you learn. Nobody really moves to help him or anything. Some of the Ekujae around just think, this is hilarious. You were going to attempt to hold the line, Esvus.
So another fortitude.
Fortitude save. You have passed fortitude save first.
Okay. 25.
I need a deception check.
Why?
Make
You have to
lie to
maintain
yourself.
composure.
Can he follow the expert?
You're not.
I wish.
You passed. There's no one composing.
Clearly, he's an expert.
Right. I'm leaving it. I am leaving that natural 1.
What happens, Esvus?
Just goes. When does it? both hands just pull on his tongue. He just He's like patting his hip. Can't find a quiver. Can't find a pouch because he's in plain clothes. Just. He just grabs Rur's. He just grabs Rur's tunic and just starts going.
As your hands touch it, your fingers start to burn. That's how severe it is. Through calloused archer's skin of the tips of your fingers, a tingling starts burning into your very bones.
Don't touch your eyes.
He's just licking Rur's just shirt, just sitting there, just like trying something.
Expert medicine. Don't touch your eyes.
I'll give you some honey.
Honey can't save him.
This is bad.
It's in his fingers.
So, the kids have all tapped out at this point, leaving just Dal'ren and Rur still sitting here. And as the middle and the older child are both dying on the ground, with Buddy, who's probably still persisting through a tomato face that he's fine, and Esvus trying to wipe his face off on Rur's shirt. The small child reaches down
Oh no.
and grabs 2 little peppers out of a last pile
Don't do it,
and
kid.
just holds them out to the 2 of you.
Don't do it.
I'll take it.
Don't do it.
These ones are quite plain, looking exactly like a jalapeno. Green, smooth, slightly curved.
Master.
Awestruck.
You've never seen Dal'ren with fear in his eyes.
I'm just over
The
here. about
greater
as calm as can
Vargas
be.
did not inspire the terror this small vegetable now does.
Master Dal'ren, you've yet let your doom in by the front door.
1, 2, 3, go.
Rur?
Oh
29.
I told you when it's
Halflings are birds, it's canon.
Halflings can't feel capsaicin.
28.
neither can fire.
I'm just-
Oh, I feel it all right.
I'm over here as calm as can be. Like there's a tingle in my mouth. I feel my gums getting a little bit raw, but there's no burning.
28. DC 28.
Wow.
Oh
Wow.
So this
is epic.
is the exact You have discovered the exact precipice of what you can tolerate and remain alive.
Welcome to Carolina Reaper, son.
It is this pepper exactly.
And like you're like the Legolas of
Yeah, just calm as can
pepper
be. Just
eating.
Ver's unfazed. Ver doesn't care. Dal'ren.
Clearly, halflings
They're
cheat at
pretty
these
good.
contests.
Dal'ren is living.
oh, when you said hot,
Did I
you didn't mean like out of the oven hot, did you?
I don't have a concept of heat anymore.
Do you have?
Are you all right?
I don't know. My tongue feels kind of odd.
You did really good. You're alive.
Ah,
You want some honey?
does it help?
Yeah.
Yeah, try it. Yeah.
Just coat your mouth with it.
Ah.
The small child is just sitting there in awe, staring. As bothered as you are, as completely numb as everything above your shoulders is. You ate it, and this furry thing is completely unbothered. Absolutely unfazed by the spiciest peppers Ockerville has to offer.
They weren't really that hot. Did you cook them?
You lied to me!
I'll say in Milwaukee, looks like you got played.
As he just smacks his friend, you lied! You said they could not eat spicy food! Like, and on the ground in agony, curled in a fetal position, the middle child is starting to cover, just points to Esvus and to Buddy.
I would just, I'd look at his pointing at me and be like, I got some extra honey.
But
Hey, buddy, you want to try one of the small ones?
I don't think that's a good idea.
it's not, like, at this point, most of the Ekujae standing around are looking with the same expression the small child has, like, what?
Not only are
And
some
you-
still standing, but they kept going.
With your Mwangi, can hear some conversations of utter confusion about what the hell is that thing? What is this small furry man and why is he invincible?
At this point, I'm probably just eating just a few of them every
It's
now
now
and then.
canon that halflings are unaffected by capsaicin. So that's part of my world now. And so impressed they are that Sir McSlushy will hand a hero point from the depths of chaos to who is being refilled to Dal'ren. See, what you really did was shock your mouth numb.
That's it.
That
That's it.
barbarian rage was
That was
I'm
brilliant.
gonna let you use it again. You were fatigued. I was like, nah, it's not you. You gotta do it now.
He made it though.
But
was
you
brilliant.
did it. Two of you did it. Woo! That's a level 11 DC. The freaking cleric made it.
Yeah, my fortitude's actually really good.
That's it. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm expert.
So, that's better than I thought. As this crowd, impressed, in awe, have no idea what a halfling is, or what monster has been brought within their
And the
net,
pepper
summoned
monster.
from the farthest reaches of the abyss to save them from the Cinderclaws. Is he an angel? They don't know.
So you know, my snacks while we're in Mwangi, all peppers.
You clearly
be now.
walk around in this bright yellow divine robe, this holy symbol displayed, an angel sent from the heavens to save them in their time of need. Halflings. And the Ekujae now believe that halflings are a race of angels. Also part of my world's canon. And the rest of you are left to recover and to return to your feasting. Sometime later, after this has all died down and Dal'ren, Buford, and Esvus have recovered, is versus
Still
eating
eating
peppers,
them.
just going in. Nikita, approaches the group of you with her big staff and lays it down on the ground and sits with the group of you.
Are you going to challenge us to fight again?
No.
Would you like a pepper?
No, please.
Okay.
That is a mistake I made as a child. The children believe you are a bird.
They taste really good.
We will see how you feel in the morning, I suppose. And I wish the rest of you luck.
Probably
The
feel sleepy.
Cinderclaws and their fire will be the least of your concerns, at least for a while.
Oh, I didn't participate in that.
Wise.
I just encouraged it.
You are an impressive group of strange folk. And I have a request for you. It does not involve peppers, it does not involve fighting. The opposite.
Do I have to beat your woman again?
No. No. Buford. Look over there. And she points across the circle to where Renavo and Gelinor are sat together. Close together, kind of off to the side with some food. Just heads kind of turned whispering to each other about something. Very involved in whatever conversation they're having. You see my father and the other idiot?
Are they in love?
It's that obvious to everyone but them. 10 years they have danced around each other, worried about what the rest of the tribe would think, what my mother would think.
Oh, who cares? I've known since the first time I met them that they were in love.
It is ridiculous.
I know.
And I know precisely what my mother would think of them. They are being clueless.
Of course they are. They're men.
Look, I have let Denovo or Gelinor. I don't know why I go back to Denovo. I don't know where Denovo is from. I let Gelinor and my father dance around each other for years. But today, I have decided life is too short. Even for elves. Maybe especially for elves. The elders here, the twin leopards, they maintain that it is not our place to interfere in other people's personal lives, but I am only half elf. I don't care anymore.
That's fair.
I'm no elf.
That is exactly what we need. I need your help. Can you help me turn this festive atmosphere into something more romantic for the two of them? Maybe help them see themselves.
You want me to play matchmaker?
I want you to play matchmaker, Resme. And the rest of you.
This moment of my life. My mother would be so proud.
I am awful at this. I should
Say
probably
what
not.
now? I feel like I'm really stepping
You
in.
two. You may be, but no, you do not have to participate. You're excused.
Thank you.
So next week, when we return, we face what may possibly be our greatest challenge yet.
We're gonna play a dating sim in Pathfinder.
Ekujae Dating Simulator.
I'm gonna need a violin, 2 glasses of wine.
And some
Cat.
peppers.
A challenge we can't overcome with weapons or magic. Helping Renavo and Gelinor to come to the truth of how they see each other. Cast aside their doubts, their worries about what their tribe is going to think.
It's
And
happening.
get them to stop wasting their goddamn time.
It's not. It's gonna. We're gonna do it.
This will be great.
This is gonna be
There is
amazing.
no possible way this goes poorly, right?
No. This is what we do.
This
It's,
could have no negative repercussions in any way. I mean, Gelinor already loves all of you guys, so
Yeah.
what's the worst that could happen?
it's unimportant, and there is no threat of death. You know we're gonna do great.
That you think.
So, that's going to be it for us tonight, everybody. Thank you all for hanging out with us. I hate you and your dice.
Remember how you guys said that I would regret putting the purple dice away for the entire session?
Apparently, we're not going to because it seems to have worked out. He put a die in prison before we even started this adventure today, and it has been in there literally all day.
It paid off too.
It worked out very well, though. When we return, same time next week, 2 p.m. Eastern, here at twitch.tv/officialpaizo next Saturday. We're going to play Matchmaker. Resme is excited. Esvus is the opposite of excited.
I'm just bad at it.
Well, I mean, not even dice can hard carry you for this one because you have to figure out how you're going to do this.
I got 3 plans already.
All right. So, maybe dice, well, we'll see.
The dice will carry us. That's the plan.
We'll see how it goes. It's going to be difficult because you are not only unfamiliar with Ekujae culture, you barely know Renavo, and you don't know Gelinor at all.
Give me 10 minutes.
I believe.
Put him through the ringer.
If he can eat all of the peppers with no problems whatsoever, I believe in you, Resme.
I made friends with a cat.
The pig's ear was worse than this. Surely you'll be fine. But next week, as the feast wraps up, we help Nikita with her schemes, and we learn the true depths of the Ekujae's plight. Maybe we'll find out if we're ready to head off in the jungle ourselves, or if we are just as unprepared as Lady Valia Argans Asimov found herself on her attempts.
No one is as unprepared as she is.
Good night, everybody. Oh! And tune in to twitch.tv/squiddish on Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern if you want to see some more Pathfinder, because I have a second campaign playing through the other adventure path that exists, Extinction Curse, and it's just as dumb. Okay, good night, everybody. Bye.
Bye.